recommend that I have 15 minutes, please.
All right, the speaker has asked for 15 minutes, Senator Siddiqui.
Motion to extend the speaker's time to 15 minutes.
A motion has been made to extend the speaker's time to 15 minutes. Is there a second, Senator Crescendi?
Second.
There's been a second by Senator Crescendi. We're now in discussion. Senator Lankarani?
Call the question.
Call question has been made. Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, motion unanimously passes. You now have 15 minutes.
Thanks. So good evening. I'd like to walk you through some of the updates we made to the Aurora Fair after incorporate of the great BCO feedback and advisor feedback. So for version 2, in short, there are 3 main changes. First, the bill stipulated that the president shall consider the specific mission statement of each BCO and request them to use the outstanding BCO award to promote collaboration. Second, the bill requested that the president propose a detailed criteria to be approved by the Senate about the nomination process can begin. And third, and that's this credit goes solely to our one advisors, is there is an additional detailed UNRWA timeline for the quarterly UNRWA process. I'll send you out the speech. So before I go ahead, I respond to some of the concerns of the bill. I'd like to pause here and see if there are any questions to the changes.
Are there any questions?
Okay.
All right.
So,
Seeing none, you can move on.
okay, so now to the concerns. First of all, it's the worrying that the outstanding BCO award is too subjective, which my response is yes and no. Allow me to elaborate. Per the structure of the bill, the outstanding BCO award will be nominated by the president and approved by the Senate, which are enough human factor to justify calling it subjective. However, it will be among the least subjective programs within the association. Take Aurora, for instance, which the chairs can submit their evaluation, and then we at the Aurora committee will just follow the chair's recommendation for Aurora with no question asked. It all depends on chair. And oftentimes chairs don't submit their evaluation, which both add to access our best judgment to recommend the goals on the rural amount. This is a subjective process dependent upon the chair of the BCU and on the rural committee. And furthermore, when RCOs come to the finance committee to ask for funding, there is just not enough funding to suffice our request info. And at some points, the finance committee must access their best judgment to decide whose request will be met in full and whose will be met halfway through. However, the finance committee RCO funding and the other process has worked relatively good in the past. Why? The answer is simple: trust. The other committee trusts the chairs in accessing their best judgment in making recommendations, and the Senate trusts us, the other committee, to come up with a good recommendation when there's no chair report. Same goes for the finance committee. The committee will trust the RCOs in honestly report their student impact, and the Senate trusts the finance committee in making the best allocation for limited amount of funding. Trust in each other makes AS work. And I'm asking you to place that trust in the president and in yourself. As the presidential nomination and the Senate approval process will make the outstanding BCO award one of the least subjective program with oversight and publicity the process will bring. And now let's come to the point of competition for the award. And yes, other than awarding excellency, bringing healthy competition is indeed one of the intention behind the award. With the award, we want to reward and incentivize officers to bring out the best return to the $800 each student pay every year to the AS. Of course, I would love to live in a world with abundance of wealth, and we won't have to compete on anything. But until that communism utopia can be achieved, we all live in a world with limited amounts of resources. The outstanding BCO award will in most bring a BCO a few $1,000s of revenue in additional undergraduate transfer from Senate, which is literally nothing compared to the millions of dollars which set in each year of budget deliberation. To argue we should not have an outstanding BCO award because there is fair competition would be the equivalent of arguing let's not have a budget allocation process, but just divide budgets among all the BCO equally. It just wouldn't work. And now come to the third concern of the bill, which it is a bandage solution. Indeed, as Wu Jun said, 从来如此，那就对嘛。Just because things has always been done this way, the subjective way, doesn't mean it's right. And I do concede to that point. The bill will not make any radical changes to the underlying structure and only make incremental improvements. There is obviously more work needed to be done on the undergraduate, and I do plan to put more work into it. I've spoken with the Chief Compliance Officer Sim, and he'll be heading a review of the undergraduate once the Senate grants the mandate by approving this bill. There will be a lot of hard work, but I don't mind as long as this work can bring real changes to real people. But in order to deliver those changes, the confidence and support of Senate is absolutely paramount. If I am unable to gain the confidence of those rather incremental improvements, I have no other option but to concede to the reality that I do not have the ability to get the support for more fundamental improvement to the undergraduate and must divert my energy to somewhere else. So, in conclusion, so the concern of subjectivity and competition is valid. The risk associated with outstanding BCO awards is, as a matter of fact, much lower than the already established undergraduate and budget process. A vote of yes vote bill would be a vote of confidence in the ability of the Senate and the President. A vote of confidence in opening up a new chapter of AI's undergraduate, and votes of confidence in a bright and promising future. I will be taking questions.
All right, do you have any questions? Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mingjun, for coming. I guess my first question is, so I've been collecting a lot of feedback on this bill as well as one of the authors, and I will say the office hours portion is completely uncontroversial. Everyone seems to be on board with that. It makes sense. Office hours are outdated in the way they're currently required in legal code. However, I have heard suggestions from other senators and other VCU members about just taking out the outstanding VCU award and just having the office hours requirement in. I personally haven't made a decision yet. I want to hear from all parties involved, but how would you feel about the legislation if the VCU award part was taken out and we just left in the portion pertaining to office hours?
Thank you very much for the question, Senator. And there are two parts to my answer. First of all, the Senate can, within its right, to take out any part it is approved within the legislation. But as someone who put immense amount of work into it, I would implore you to either pass or reject the whole bill in its entirety. If you decide to reject it in its entirety and write something that's encompassing some part of it, I have no objection to it. But just to me, taking a bill which is really a baby to anyone who are asking, and just cut the part from it, I'm not really comfortable with that. So I implore the Senate, it's completely within your prerogative to either reject or approve its info.
All right, okay, Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, my second question was, I wanted to go back specifically, and also we can have this discussion in old business once we get there. But I did notice the spreadsheet linking to all the BCU responses was linked to the agenda that liaison chair Senator Ganesh discussed at the last meeting, but I wanted to hear from you. And we'll have a more in-depth discussion line by line about each BCU's feedback once we get to that portion, but in general, after reading the overall responses and the concerns of BCUs, is there a specific response you have?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, I want to say my sincere thank you to every BCU that wrote a response that shows how much you care about AX. So out of the 7 BCUs who are filled out a response from, 2 of them are, well, inactive review of the award, and 5 of them are kind of indifferent. I would like to introduce the concept of a voluntary response bias, which it basically says if a survey is done in a way that it doesn't caution or pose specific people to answer, but leave it as voluntary, then the result will scoot to what people have a strong opinion maybe about it. That's why in 8 years ago, all the other poll was Trump won significantly, but then it ended up losing the popular vote. So I do believe it is a culture of voluntary response bias. And to the specific concerns, I've actually reached out to everyone who had a concern. I wrote them an email, explained about them, explained what part they are concerning, and our updated version. I've asked everyone who has the concern to meet with me if they want to discuss this further. Unfortunately, I didn't have any response so far, but I think this is a very productive process. People naturally will have concerns over something like that, and it is our job to explain it. And I do feel our updated version of the bill, which in specific stipulates the president has to create a detailed criteria to be approved by the Senate before they can make the nomination process. And specific line promoting collaboration, I do believe those changes will be sufficient to address the concerns.
Senator Lala?
I want to first thank you for the immense effort you put into this and everything else that you do. It really does not go unappreciated. When you say that this bill is like your baby, I take that at face value. I really think you mean that, and that shows how dedicated you are to the association. But I don't necessarily understand why what Senator Siddiqui was proposing essentially. I don't see, at least I have my mind made up, I think, on this proposal, but nonetheless, I don't understand why you would be opposed necessarily to us taking a portion of it and taking the other out. I don't see it as like a dismembering of the baby that you cherish so much, as much as you're like an artisan who proposed to us a few products and we really like some of them and we have some problems with a few other ones. I thought that it would be better to have this conversation with you so you could respond as opposed to just the senators. I feel like it's a more effective route if we can just vote on a piece of it, if there does seem to be consensus on passing one portion, but not the other. Would you be willing to amend that?
The second thing to about words, it really means a lot to me. And to your point, part of it is because it is completely unprecedented. I've been in this space for my undergraduate years and now a senior. There has never been a case where a bill was put and some part was deleted and some parts approved. But I guess the deeper reason and more realistic and practical reason is that this bill it looks over various aspects of the Aurora process. And I do believe there's a lack of, well, not, let me see, a lack of morale or some kind of cohesion within the association. I would feel like there's a bunch of BCU that's being moved together with our top structure. And I do believe the outside BCU award will be a way to bring that together and reward those who have done excellent work. I know a few BCU that's really done a lot, and I just don't feel it's really fair for some receiving senior honoraria as everyone else who are also done great work, but maybe not that awesome. That's my response. That's satisfy the option.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have time for about one more question. Does anyone want to extend the time? Senator Siddiqui,
Motion to expend the speaker's time by 6 minutes.
a motion has been made to extend the speaker's time by 6 minutes, you said?
Yeah.
By 6 minutes, is there a second? Senator Waidula,
Second.
seconded by Senator Waidula, we're now in discussion. Senator Lankarani,
Call the question.
call question has been made. Are there any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. You now have 6 more minutes, for questioning. Senator Iden?
Yes, thank you for speaking, Imogen. I appreciate you advocating. I know you're really passionate about this one. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. I've already kind of given my opinion on this legislation. I just have some questions regarding a few things. Do you think it would be better if you want to implement something like this? Why not pursue, and evaluate the honoraria system as a whole and reform it so you can, instead of having to only pick 3 BCUs and like be selective, because all the BCUs do great work. Like they all do really good things. It's really hard to like just pick 3, in my opinion. And I understand you're passionate about like the requirements being with the office of the president. So my questions to you are, why not do this as a separate piece of legislation where the Senate themselves right now can like lay out a whole list of what the requirements are instead of just kind of like saying, oh, the president will do it? And also, why not just look into like a full honorary reform where you can actively reward a larger amount of BCUs with the funding that we have?
Thank you for the question. And to your first question about states will essentially abandon absolution, which I agree. There is definitely a need to be conducting a review into the honoraria process in a larger scale and with more structural changes. It's just doing that will take really lots of efforts. And to be honest, I don't mind that as long as we can bring real changes to real people by doing so. However, in order to implement any of the changes that I may find with David, we are happy to be part of the Senate. So maybe think of it this way: this bill is just something to test the water. If this bill received well, and people really are passionate about an overhaul of honorary process, then yes, of course, I'm committed to do that. And to your second question, which is, I'm sorry, you might remind me of that
Sure,
second.
it was like, why the office of the president? Why not just have the Senate create their own guidelines regarding this?
Yes, so simple question. So when I was the process of reaching it with authors, we actually talked about this question. The main conclusion we got is that Senate, especially people already have a lot of numerous responsibility on their shoulder. And if we want to create another set of criteria, then there will be another committee, another way to meet, another set of meeting, and then it's just slow, it's really slow. Committee is a good thing, but sometimes it's not the most efficient way. And the office of the president, they have a good representation of the viewpoint of the students. They have 20 other officers. A lot of them, if I may add, has great senior experience. And I do trust in their ability to create something holistic and will reflect well and bring good changes. So I guess my final answer to that question is, let's just let someone else do it. If we know we can do a good job on it, we don't have to do everything ourselves. Rather than for us be overburdened with housework.
Any further questions? Senator Wayne?
So I remember one of the concerns that Senator Ganesh mentioned that a BCU had brought up last week, which I think was really fair, is that BCU with more funding would be able to do more work eventually. Do you think that's true? And if so, how do you plan to offset that if you want to continue forward with this bill and this entirety?
Yes, the question is, that's absolutely a valid concern. So the Creole language, as it stands right now, it says, something like, students who type based on the amount of funding and the personnel we still have. So it's a relative structure. If you have that some zero have 500,000 words of budget, then the bar will obviously be much higher than a visual that has 50,000. So that's the question, and it's and we do counter that concerns in the back.
Senator Siddiqui?
This is my last question. I just wanted to address a more specific concern that I've heard from BCUs, and that was also reflected in the Google Sheets containing the responses. A specific concern that was brought up repeatedly was BCUs were wondering, in terms of being eligible for this award, how are BCUs with larger membership numbers and with larger budgets expected to be evaluated on the same level playing field as newly created BCUs or BCUs with less members or BCUs with smaller budgets?
Yes, that's a great question. So at the time, had I mentioned about the president has to make a holistic consideration. I've talked with president herself, and then I talked about creating a set of criteria that at the right amount of student impact based on the size and budget of BCU, but also the efforts and their unique mission statement. For instance, DGC for international students code about disabled students. So that's my question, and I'll be working closely with the president in drafting a more detailed sets of criteria, which it will always come back to the Senate for approval. So please don't think that's something you vote today and it's just like the sky and never came back. No, the hope of the individual awards is designed to subject to heavy scrutiny from the Senate. From either the criteria to approving the award itself, the Senate can as well provide the essential role of oversight to the award.
All right, thank you. That is time.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you so much for speaking. Welcoming our next speaker to the platform, Yamileth Maroki. Also, please correct me if I didn't say your name right.
No, you said it right.
Oh, period.
I
Okay.
always hear young people, that's why I just go by him, but.
Oh, nice. Well, you have 2.5 minutes to speak with 2 minutes for Q&A. Please state your name, pronouns, and enunciate, but refrain from yelling. Please know this meeting is being recorded. You may speak on any issue, whether it's on the agenda or not. Please include a content warning if it'll be graphic, and you may only come up once, and you may choose to not answer any questions. Do you agree? All right. You can start.
So again, I'm Yamileth Maroki. I go by she, her, and I'm here as representing the Community First School CAB, the co-chair, one of the coaches for this year. And I feel like I'm spot.
Don't worry
Anyways,
about
but
it.
I'm here to express some of my concerns regarding the bill to add the specific exceptions to the AA's policies and procedures. There are specific, there are two parts of these, which are fees regarding food expenditures. So for this one, I think the cap is very low. CAP specifically has different positions like House of Hunger that we put up events. We also have special projects and PR who in the past have done, as part of a You Matter campaign, have distributed food during midterms and finals week, and normally that exceeds that cap already. And I understand having to go for an exception to FMB, you know, just to keep track that we are spending those students fee like as we should. And just being smart about it, but at the same time, it adds an extra week when it comes down to planning. Like we already, like we cannot pay out of pocket, like when it comes down to food, so we request for invoices from local vendors, and that takes time, like sometimes 2 to 3 weeks. And on top of that, we have to ask for funding, and then our meetings are actually on Monday at 7 p.m., which is after FMB meeting. So that means we have to wait another extra week to go to FMB to ask for that exception. So it just adds an extra step to the board, which I can train them to do so, but at the same time, I wouldn't want them like to be like worried about time, like their event, or that the vendors are not gonna be getting paid on the day of the event, or like at least a couple days after. So that was my only concern, because as of now, we have had 2 events, like a leaderboard retreat, as well as our first general meeting that we provided food. This were just, we only provided food because it was our first general meeting, but we already exceed that cap, so. That's why we're like, oh, after this, we're gonna have to go to every reception and so on, so it's like, it adds more, like an extra step to us, and it requires more of us. An example of this, was, for example, we had PR do merch for this year, and they submitted an exception to FMB. Unfortunately, when they realized they couldn't make the meeting, they contacted me and the other coach, and he couldn't go either, so it just, if it doesn't fit with their schedule, then we have to send someone else, and what if they don't have the ability, so that was our only concern as well, so.
Just a second, we are at time, would, Senator Lakarani?
Motion to extend the speaker's time by 5 minutes.
All right, there's been a motion to extend the speaker's time by 5 minutes. Do we have a second? Senator McClintock? Seconded by Senator McClintock for non-discussion.
Consent.
Senator.
Call the question.
Motion has been made. Are there any objections?
Consent.
All right, motion passes unanimously. You may continue for another 5 minutes.
So the next part I had was the merge part, which I think is part C of the bill. So same thing, again, as I mentioned before, we already have PR to kind of make a request to FMB. Unfortunately, we couldn't go, so we just moved on to winter quarter. I'm actually glad, Airman, he reached out to us, like, why we couldn't make it, and we said we will push it back to winter quarter. But the reason is because it just, the meeting didn't fit with the schedule. So that's my only concern regarding the cap, that is too low, because we have to do an election, like starting probably from the like 3rd or 4th week of fall quarter and on, so, yeah, and it just adds an extra step to the process, relates to the planning process of events, and potentially like even like events not happening in somehow, so, yeah, that was my only concern. And then another thing is that for our merch is a big important thing of CAB, like we have shirts, we also have our hats that I think, I don't know if most of you have one, with volunteers, so. And like, we have a lot of volunteers, like right now, one of our constant volunteer opportunities has been at the senior, with our senior coordinator, the Friendship Manor. And we have volunteers there like throughout the whole quarter, every Friday, so it was just nice to give them merch from CAB, because they've been there with us for a quarter, just, helping out with the tutoring lessons for technology. So that was my concern regarding those 2 parts, and the cap of $1,000 for food, and having to go to FMB every time we need an exception. So again, I agree, I understand their point of view, and trying to, keep track of expenditures and making sure we're being responsible in how we use student fee. But something I would like you guys to consider during the discussion is to potentially like have VCUs, do the exception form, provide the proof, and have a good reasoning why they need the exception, but maybe not have them come every single time to the FMB meeting, because if they don't come, then that means it gets tabled, they don't get the exception, and it's just, I think it delays the process, so,
All right, thank you so much. Will you be taking questions?
yes.
All right, Senator Singh?
Thank you for coming. So section 6(12)(6) of financial policy says that only applies to non-AS entities. So CAB would be fine. I messed up. I meant to write ASRCOs instead of ASBCUs on that exception on B5. It's supposed to be ASRCOs that exceed the $1,000 cap, but AS entities would not be affected by this. You would not need an exception if you're spending over $1,000.
I just misread it.
Yeah.
I think it was 70, but thank you for clarifying.
And could you explain what was the question about merchandise?
Oh, yeah, just, when you say like, the exception for that, it's every single time for merch wise, because we only have to come for exceptions when we need leaderboard jackets, but when it comes down to, merch for like, volunteers or volunteer week, which is the biggest thing CAB is known for, we normally don't need an exception. Like we haven't needed in the past.
but you are using merchandise. Right? You could be using merchandise during motor training.
Yeah.
So technically that would be an exception. Like, what you can do is just bundle them all together and submit them for the entire quarter at once. Like, that's what Program Board does as well. Like, we just submitted an exception for like 12 different events at once, so CAP can do that as well. And here's the thing, right? Even though we do start at 4, we're there till like 6:30. Even if you come late, that's fine. We'll move back into public forum. We can do your. That's it. We can do our thing again, and that's fine. Even if you come late, it's cool. So.
All right, that is time. Senator Siddiqui?
Motion to expend the speaker's time by 2 minutes.
Motion to extend the speaker's time by 2 minutes has been made. Is there a second? Senator Kada,
Second.
seconded by Senator Kada. We are now discussion. Senator Lankarani?
Call a question.
Call question has been made. Do you have any objections?
Consent.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. You now have an extra 2 minutes for questions. Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for the great work you do with CAB and for the rest of AS. We all really appreciate you. I just wanted to ask more specifically, so after Senator Singh was able to clear up some of your concerns around the bill, I just wanted to ask, after he provided his answers, has that eased your concerns at all, or do you still share the same opinion that you held coming in about the bill?
I think my major one was food expenditures, so I think clarifies that it was just a mistake and it's just say RCO, so I don't think that it's no longer a concern. Regarding merch, like we always submit, like we always order in bulks, ahead of time, especially during winter quarter for its spring quarter volunteer week, so I don't think that should be an issue, so my concerns are. no.
Awesome, thank you so much for coming.
All right, do we have any members of the audience that would like to speak for public forum? That did not get the chance to sign up?
We have one.
Yep. You may come to the podium.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff. I use he and his pronoun. I'm just gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have to go over the speaker agreements
Okay.
first. So, yeah, you have 2.5 minutes to speak with 2 minutes for Q&A. Please state your name, pronouns, and enunciate, but refrain from yelling. Please know this meeting is being recorded. You may speak on any issue, whether it's on the agenda or not, and please include a content warning if it'll be graphic. You may only come up once and may choose to not answer any questions. Do you agree?
Yep.
All right, you may start.
So yeah, my name is Jeff. I'm the treasurer of Gutcher Racing. I use he and his pronoun. I'm Raghav. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. I'm also part of Gutcher's.
I'm Thomas, also from Gutcher Racing. My pronouns are he and his.
So we're here today to request funding from the Senate specifically for a set of motors that we're planning to buy from Europe.
So we previously went to FNB to ask for these motors part of a kit, and it cost $30,000. We have been told that it is not feasible from the club budget to purchase this, and we wanted to try to make everything work because we really want to have a competitive car this year. We want to represent UCSD in Michigan at our competition where we compete against over 100 schools. And I think we were able to get a new quote from the suppliers, which was $10,000, removing some of the motor controllers and inverters. So we will have to make these components ourselves. We think it's within our capabilities. And just like a quick show of hands, does everyone know who we are?
Oh, that's great.
Cool. So just background, I guess, we're building an electric race car. We went to Michigan last year. We finally got our car rolling, but we want to do more than that. We want to actually be competitive. I think our goal this year is top 10. So.
So in case you guys aren't familiar with what hub motors are, so last year we run a one motor setup. It's like one big motor in the rear. So with these hub motors, what you're able to do is you put a motor on each wheel. and you can do a lot of fun stuff with it, including torque vectoring. And so, this is a significant upgrade to the car. AMK is a top of the line product. There is no other upgrades beyond AMKs. And, this will able to put us with like the top school in the competition.
So if you're looking at the top teams, the majority of them run a hub motor setup, and you just want to put UCSB up there.
All right, thank you. You are at time. Senator Butler,
Motion to extend the speaker's time by 3 minutes?
a motion has been made to extend the speaker's time by 2 minutes. Is there a second? Senator Cadal?
Second. It was three.
Seconded by Senator Cadal, huh? Oh, sorry, there's been a motion to extend the time by 3 minutes. You're seconded, yeah, seconded by Senator Cadal, we're not discussion, sorry, y'all. Senator Siddiqui,
Call the question.
call question has been made. Are there any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes. You now have an extra 3 minutes for questions. Are you open to questions?
Yes.
All right, period. Do you have any questions from senators? Senator Singh?
Thank you for coming. Could you tell us more about this competition itself and how coming in the top 10 would benefit the campus community?
Okay, so. Okay, so. As most of you know, fossil fuels are a huge problem for the entire planet. A lot has been done to try to decrease our reliance, and one of those main things is moving to electric vehicles. So the best way for us to get experience to move into the EV industry is through Formula SAE Electric. We educate our members with hands-on experience that isn't provided in a lot of the classes here. We're open to any member from any major that's a UCSB student. So we're accepting of literally anyone. We have projects that involve research. We have projects that involve more business-sided applications. A lot of our focus is engineering, but we really make an effort to try to onboard and help everyone catch up to speed.
Yeah, so more on that point, a lot of people come into our club just to learn. A lot of people start from ground zero and we just teach everyone up. So, yeah, you do learn a lot of stuff. We have a lot of support and, Thomas, you want to say?
Yeah, also just specifically about the competition. It's international actually competition, but our division has mostly US teams. So every year there's about, like last year there were 70 teams, a competition. This year they've expanded it to 100 ED teams. And these are all the top schools that you could think of. Almost every top school has like an FSAE team, they all compete. And so we're competing against basically all the best schools in the US.
In the world. Yeah.
Senator Loncarani?
I have two questions. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but if UCSB Racing were to be a part of this, this would be the only California university to be participating in this, correct?
No, so UC, Berkeley, LA, Cal Poly, both Cal Polys, they have pretty good teams. Actually, most of their teams are much more established than ours. So like Cal Poly has been in it for like 30 years straight. This is like our third year going to Michigan.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then my follow-up question, so you said this in the beginning, what was the original budget that you were looking for that was denied?
We were originally looking for $50,000. We were approved for $17,000 and encouraged to request again for $5,000. And we were told to come back to FNB next quarter if we wanted to follow up on the voters, but with the time frame of the competition, we really want to start building now.
I have more details on like the specific quote from AMK. The lead time on that is insane, like 10 weeks lead time.
You can finish your sentence.
So the specific quote from AMK, we do get sponsorship from them, and so the original amount was for the full kit, but we're decided to only go with the motors. Each motor after sponsorship costs $2,300, and we plan to get 4 hub motors, for a total of around 9.2K. And you got to factor in conversion rate because we're buying it in euros and shipping and custom fees. So it's probably closer to like 10K or over.
All right, thank you. Senator Siddiqui?
Motion to expend the speaker's time by 10 minutes.
A motion has been made to extend the speaker's time by 10 minutes. Is there a second? Senator Singh?
Second.
All right, motion has been seconded. We are non-discussion. Senator Lankarani?
Call the question.
Call to question has been made. Does anyone object? All right, motion passes. Senator Iden?
So I'm curious, two questions. What happens to these, like, are these motors gonna be reusable after this year? Will you be able to keep using them? And the other question was where you've gone searching for alternative funding from the Senate? Like, what led you to the Senate? Is what I'm asking.
So, this came as a recommendation from, Argument himself. We were told to like look for other sources beside the sealed fund within AS and, AS, the Senate unallocated was one of the sources we were told to approach. And, about the MK themselves, yeah, no, this is like the top line product. All these top schools are using them. And, the reusability on it is like, you can like, run it for like, you have like more details on that? I'm not really sure.
I think it really depends on how much testing we're able to get out of the motors. Thing. I wish to say that we can use it for the next few years, but I don't want to make a false claim. And say something.
Senator Singh?
Just want to make sure this is not this is like a one-time purchase, right, basically, for the motors? And could you tell us more about how well you've done in your past competitions?
So I think the best way to frame that is the first year we competed, we built nothing. We did not know what we were doing. We didn't know what we got ourselves into. And it was humbling because I got here, it was my freshman year, and we were like, let's build a car. And then nothing. We didn't know what to do. So the next year we were like, all right, let's take a step back. We focused a little bit more on education, learning a lot about the competition. And we built a frame of a car, took it to Michigan, and it helped us see a lot we were doing wrong because all of the teams we're competing against have had many years, I would say decades of experience with their ICE teams. And coming from a school that hasn't had a competitive racing team in actually decades, we have not built up that knowledge base. So after the second year, we built up a lot of relationships with companies. We started talking more to advisors within the school. We started incorporating more members and focusing more on education. And that's what led to us building a car that worked last year. I don't know if you've all seen the video. I think it's on Instagram and YouTube. The car drives down the lagoon. It's pretty cool. And I guess this year we want to do better.
Senator Lala?
Very quick question. These top schools that you're speaking of, you know, the ones with the $40 billion endowments and whatnot, they already have this. Is that correct?
Yeah,
They
they're
have-
one of the MKs.
Faculty, advisors, and all the things that you guys scraped together in the last few years, they have all of it.
Yes.
That's it.
Senator Corsandy?
I'm just wondering how like important is this competition? Like, is this the competition or just a competition?
I would say that it's the competition. It helps a lot of our members get internships in industry. I think we've had people go to Tesla, SpaceX, Rivian, just top engineering companies, as well as just other tech companies. It helps our members get jobs. When I personally was writing grad school applications, about like a third of a page is just all my experience in gaucho racing. I think it's a very valuable experience. It is something that companies look for. My friend who was working at Tesla said that his entire team did SAE.
I actually do want to touch more on that point. I feel like gaucho racing is more about just a competition either. So gaucho racing is also more about building the car. We are training people, we are preparing them for a career in engineering and all sorts of related fields. Also, so we are like always looking for ways to like give back to the campus community. So besides the building car aspects, we host a lot of workshops. We do software, CAD studies and CADing, and yeah, so just that we have a lot of SolidWorks license. We have a fan printer that people can like use, a lot of stuff.
All right, Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I have a few questions, but they're really short questions. I appreciate you go rapid fire. First of all, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate you and anyone else who wants to come. And I know this space is kind of intimidating to sit here at a podium and ask questions. So thank you for staying with this. My first question is, so you mentioned the teams have expanded from 70 to 100 this most recent year. Can you tell me exactly where our chapter has ranked for the past 2 to 3 years?
So, yeah, I think, two competitions ago, there were like 64 teams or something. We were like 52, 54, something like that. Last year was similar. Last year there were 70, we were like 60 something. So the competition actually is scored on a lot of things. There's a lot of points that you can get just based off your design or like the cost or the budgeting of your car or how accurately you can report that. But also parts of it are based on the car's performance on a track. And there's also, so like you would bring your car there, but once you get there, you need to go through all these safety inspections. And if you never make it through the safety inspections, you don't even have a chance to do any of the dynamic events. Like you would never actually, they would never allow you to run your car on a track if you don't pass like 7 different safety things. So that's all like part of why we've never scored very well, but yeah. So last year we passed mechanical inspection and we did not pass electrical inspection.
I don't think that's the full story. He's missing the part where someone else's car caught on fire. And so they had to reallocate a lot of
It was
stuff.
USC. Not it.
All right, order. Follow-up, just quick follow-up question. Thank you for that answer. Just give a lot of insight. And I'm asking this in the nicest way possible, so I'm taking it the wrong way. But it seems to me the premise of how this was phrased in order to justify funding is that it would be great if we were in the top 10, right? If we were in the top 10, that would bring great benefits back to the student body. So in the past 2 to 3 years, you said we ranked somewhere between 50th and 70th. How are we to expect that by funding this $10,000 for a new electric engine that we're magically going to jump from that percentile to top 10?
I think it's not going to be just from the motors. I think we've made fundamental changes this year, focusing a lot more on educating our members and giving them an opportunity to use their skills with something more complicated like hub motors would allow us to place much higher this year. So every year the competition does take a step forward. We also need to take that step forward. Thank you.
Senator Gerson?
I know you said that you could use this technology potentially for a few more years. How many years, like as an investment, how many years down the line do you see like the technology kind of, if you know, evolving where you, to the point where you would need to buy another one? Like how many years is it useful for?
I'm not sure that the technology itself would get better, maybe more that the what we would want to do with it changes. So I think even implementing torque vectoring, there are different control methods to apply power to each wheel. Us, as like the first time using it, we're not going to be able to optimize that, but over like a few years, we will be able to get more performance out of the same parts. So I would say it's more of a knowledge thing. I think this is quite close to the top of the line that you can use, and I don't think that the industry is gonna come out with like new magic motors anytime soon.
Financially speaking, like in terms of depreciation, like usability, we can there's like a market for like motors within the FSAE community. If at the end of the lifetime we aren't able to use it anymore, we could resell it back for value, and that could be like a future source of funding for the club too.
Okay.
Unless that's something illegal to do with AS.
Yeah.
Any further questions? Senator Karsundy?
Oh, wait, I just realized that Senator Gerson and, okay, never mind.
All right, Senator Singh?
So last time we met, we were talking about some other sources of funding as well. Have you been talking to program board about doing like a car show in front of the library, or where are you on that?
No, I haven't. So we are quite busy. I haven't planned any event for like this board specifically with the program board, but I'm definitely gonna be doing that like winter and spring quarter. A couple, things I thinking about includes like engineering competitions within the student body hosted by Gaucho Racing. And yeah, car shows and or, simply Formula One watch party.
All right, thank you. We are at time. Senator Singh?
Do you have your line items with you?
Point of order, you have to motion to extend. the
Yeah.
speaker's time.
Okay, motion to extend the speaker's time by.
All right,
4
a motion
minutes.
has been made to extend the speaker's time by, you said 5 minutes? 4 minutes. Is there a second? Senator Siddiqui?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Siddiqui. We are in discussion. Senator Lankarani?
Call the question.
Call the question has been made. Are there any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. You now have 4 more minutes. Senator Singh?
You have your line items with you? How much is-
So 10,000 specifically for 4 coverage. And the specific quote from AMK, it's on a PDF I can send you after, is 2,300 per motor. So we only requested a quote for 2 motors, so we're doubling that basically to get a 10K.
I think you'd have to send the line items to the IVP, but
Yeah, please. Senator Corsendi?
Oh my God, the question was off my head, wait. Oh, yeah, when is the competition, and have you thought about external funding, such as like fundraising?
The competition is the week after spring quarters finals. It actually used to be during our finals week and we got together with a lot of schools and signed a petition to move it. We have looked into external funding. We actually work with companies to get, like financial sponsorships and material sponsorships from them. It doesn't really add up to everything we need to build.
Yeah. Building a race car is very expensive, as you can imagine. There, we do have a lot of consumables that we only use like during the year, and a lot of things has to be repurchased for every new year of competition.
Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, just one last question. So I will also just give you some insight. First of all, like, I totally do think this is important. I think this is cool. I think you guys have given great answers and addressed a lot of concerns. But I will say, using Senate unallocated, especially for anything that's not, for Senate or like a Senate project is a tricky subject. We only have 150K. I'm not saying that because I'm saying I'm gonna say no, but I'm saying that, and this is just my estimation. I don't think that this is something that I'll likely be on board with to do today, but in a week or two, most likely. So I just wanted to ask, like, in terms of your timeline, like, when do you think, and like, obviously I know the sooner the better, but like, if we had to say, like, at which point would it be too late for us to fund this? Like, if you could give us a deadline.
I think I'm gonna let the president answer that question.
I think it's hard to answer that because we've always like set a deadline, like, oh, we have to make a decision if we're gonna go for it or not. And that deadline's been getting pushed back. But just if you work backwards, so like the competition's in June, and usually we want at least a month or two of testing, pure testing before that. But this is also new technology that we're told will take us about 3 months just to get working. And it's also gonna take 3 months after we order it to get here. So the latest time it's like realistic is probably like in the next 2 weeks or so.
All right, we have time for one more question. Oh, Senator Singh?
Are you looking for drivers?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I said first.
Yeah, we are required to have 4 separate drivers for the competition, so. Right now we have 0.
Yeah, we have 0 dollars.
Bet you have 2 right here. I'm actually great.
You should drive. Yeah, you have a driver license. That's great. That's all you need. That's all you need.
All right, time for last question. Senator Gerson?
No, I was just gonna say thank you so much for coming if there was no other questions.
All right, and that's time. Thank you so much.
Sit down.
Thank you.
We clap for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. We will now be moving into action items. Senator, you?
Motion to add Gaucho Food Inclusion Program pilot project into action item.
A motion has been made to add the Gaucho food,
Inclusion.
Senator Yu?
yeah,
Gaucho Food Inclusion Program pilot program.
Can we stop the side conversations, please? We're like in a public meeting.
Can you repeat that one more time, please?
Gaucho Food Inclusion Program pilot program.
Gaucho food. Yeah, food and inclusion.
Gaucho
Inclusion,
Food Inclusion Program.
all right, a motion has been made to include the GFIP pilot program to action items. Is there a second? Senator Lankarani?
Second.
Second has been made by Senator Lankarani. We are now in discussion. Senator, Siddiqui?
I have a question, for Senator Yu. So since we're in discussion, I'm wondering, when you're talking about the Gaucho Food Inclusion Pilot Program, is this something that you want us to add to the strategic vision plan? Because if it is, then it's in the appropriate portion of the agenda action items, or is it something you just want to discuss? If it's something you just want to discuss, it would probably be better to place it under discussion items.
I think I don't want it to place it under discussion.
So you want to add it to the strategic vision plan?
I am, because I want to like, first of all, like discuss, like when we present this project, and then like, I want everyone's opinion on it, and then possibly ask for like a funding for that.
Oh, you want funding like today?
Yeah,
Is it, and this is different from IGNAP?
yeah, it's gonna be replaced like that.
Oh, it's replacing IGNAP?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Okay, you want to do that?
Okay.
We're still.
Wait, can I ask, we're still just like, how much money?
Senator Siddiqui?
How much money?
It's gonna be 15K.
All right, Senator Singh?
Just point of information, if we were to fund,
We're in discussion.
We're in discussion. You're allowed to ask questions.
oh, yeah, so how will we do that? We just motion to add them onto the agenda?
Well, a motion has already been made to add this into action items. We're now in discussion about adding this program into action items.
Or Iman, just save it for a recess, we're on a different topic.
Yes, Senator Iden?
Are you presenting today?
Yeah. Should I go up and present?
No.
We are still in discussion to add it into action items. Senator Butler?
Call the question.
Call the question has been made by Senator Butler. Are there any objections?
Consent.
All right, motion passes to add Gaucho Food Inclusion Program into action items. Hold up, I'm adding that into the, I'm adding it. Too many cooks in the kitchen. I'm sorry, I'm silly. All right, now moving into action items. The first being the Senate Strategic Vision Plan proposal. Senator. All right, a motion has been made, wait, oh no, it's fine then.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. We will be moving into the presentation of the GFIP pilot program. Sorry.
Hi everyone. So today I'm here to present an initiative
to address like a critical issue, which is the food insecurity. And so the Voucher for Inclusion Program, the GFIP, is gonna be a pilot designed to provide new support to UCSB students who face challenges accessing nutritious and culturally relevant meals. And for many of our students who face challenges our students, particularly those who are like international, out of state, who are like living off campus without a regular meal plan. And so the struggle with dietary restrictions, financial constraints, and unfamiliarity with local food system is like real and ongoing. So this other the project I'm proposing, GFIP, aims to bridge this gap by offering like meal vouchers at selected local eateries. For example, like starting in IB, to ensure that our students have access to this like those food that they need to thrive academically and personally. And I want to say that this pilot program is not just about like feeding our students. It's about like fostering inclusivity and well-being in community support. And by partnering with local vendors, we are promoting culture diversity and reducing the stigma often associated with food assistance. And I understand that there may be concerns about the program like misuse. And during development, we explore various methods to ensure eligibility verification. However, requiring financial documentation but create unnecessary barriers and potentially jeopardize the visa status of international students. Instead, we model our approach on successful programs that other UC campuses in prioritizing accessibility and privacy while remaining vigilant against misuse. As we can find out like at the very end of the document, we have GFIP self-assessment form and GFIP meal voucher request form for like the fall quarter. But like we hope that after finalizing, after like passing this founding and also like establish more like long-term partnership with like the local eateries, we can fully launch this program starting in winter quarter. Yeah, and this pilot program is an opportunity for us to gather relevant data and refine our approach and build like a long-term solution that will effectively address food insecurity on campus. And yeah, your support is essential in making this program a reality. And yeah, and together we can ensure that no voucher has to worry about their next meal. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Kusandi?
I have a question about misuse. I know you addressed it, but I'm just wondering like how, when students use the voucher, how is it gonna be verified that they're the correct student that the voucher was given for?
Thank you for asking those questions. Well, so basically, when we are designing the voucher, it's for the pilot program, it's gonna be paper version. So there's gonna be your name and also your the part number. So we will like use it online with your student ID.
Senator Ryan?
So I have two questions. The first of them is, I noticed that you listed a few different restaurants. Have you talked to these restaurants or do you have plans? Like, I guess, how would you go to these restaurants and be like, hey, this is what we wanted to do? So
Yeah. Is that two questions? Or-
I was gonna ask the second question.
Okay, I can do this your first one. So, yeah, about the partnership, we have not reached out to those restaurants about this program yet. But like previously, we have established like partnership, for example, with Chinese Student Union about like the card use, because we have like a other like new card for like a different project than this one. And also for like the GGC, we just opened a Thanksgiving meal voucher, and we have already talked to Kaiju in Ivy Bagel, so I feel that's a great start if we want to extend those partnerships. Yeah.
My second question would be, would it be possible, like, for people to transfer those vouchers, like from one person to another? If this person is like, oh, I have food this week, can I give it to my friend? I know the other.
I think that's an amazing point, and we can definitely because of pilot program, I think a really important part for that is to gather the data to figure out like our student demographic. So, after this program is like officially launched, in like spring quarter, and if that part is doable, I'm happy to adopt this, and I'm like welcome to that to my team as well.
Senator White?
I just have one more question. How are you planning to market this or put it out there then?
Yeah. Of course, through, OISs, our AS as well, and there's like, various international, just like student organization, like CASA, like Turkish Student Association. I feel like we have, we have, of course, like flyers and posters as well.
Senator Siddiqui?
So I noticed that you said that this was gonna be replacing IGNAP. I did remember from the initial IGNAP proposal, it focused on targeting international and undocumented students, but from what I can read in this document, it only mentions international and out-of-state students, and I know you mentioned coordinating with OISS. But there was no mention of coordinating with any of the offices we have that are targeting undocumented students on campus. So I was wondering, is that something that you're still planning to include,
Yeah, in the future.
but not in this initial pilot program?
I'm planning to have a appointment with, UTSA to have a further discussion about this. But like right now, we're still trying to figure out like the student student demographic, and also, because we want this program to like open to all students. Yeah.
So I know that you
Senator
were.
Siddiqui?
I know that you wanted funding today, but I'm just asking you a question. We'll obviously have to all decide together afterwards. I know that you wanted funding today, but considering the fact that you just mentioned you have a meeting with the EBPSA, and I'm sure there's other parts of the plan that you want to work out, would you be comfortable with potentially tabling this to advocacy committee, giving you a week or two to like take those consultation steps, meet with EBPSA, see how you can help them document things, and then come back and fund it?
Honestly, I feel like founding in that does not conflict, because our founding, we're gonna offer 200 real vouchers. And I'm like, each voucher value is set already, so I don't think that's like an effect, like the funding that I'm gonna request today.
Senator Iden?
Thank you for your presentation. Like, honestly, I'm stoked, because like, I know we were talking about this like really recently, so I'm stoked that you like kind of put this all together like really fast, which is great. I was just curious about the data collection cost estimate. It's like listed at $1,000. I was just wondering, I know the school has a partnership with Qualtrics, I'm pretty sure, so like you could use that. I just wanted to know if you've looked into that at all. For data collection.
Yeah, for sure, but like another thing is about within this, so we're concerned about like how we can prove that we don't, like, student does not have access to financial, like, how we have to do that, so.
Okay.
That's not.
Senator Martinez?
I was gonna ask, have you tried reaching out to the undocumented student services to see what information and data they can provide you, so you can offer these resources to undocumented students as well? I have not. So like, that's a great point that I can explore in the future. And again, like, this program is open to all students. So maybe like that way is a great way for me to advertise this project to undocumented students. So like, that does not restrict them from like applying this, pilot.
Well, Senator Martinez, your follow-up question?
I feel like I would disagree, because I feel like a lot of undocumented student services, and undocumented students themselves, I just feel like there's a lot of, I think their situation and their circumstance may be different when it comes to international students having, papers and legality of being here, attending to the school and everything. So I feel like it would be a good idea to reach out and focus on the undocumented students as well. Pertaining to this, because it's not simply as easy to just apply for it while not having everything that you need, or, you know, just not feeling safe enough to apply as well. So, yeah, but that's all.
Senator Corsendi?
Thank you for this. I think it's a great idea. And I do like how it's like open to all students, and I definitely think you should explore like the undocumented students like as an avenue to advertise to them, also because I feel like a lot of undocumented students might not be aware of all like the resources available to them. But I do really like how it is open to all students. Like, I think that's important. I just have a question. Where did you come up with the number of like 200 vouchers? Did you, like, where did you find the assessment of that need? Like, did you do a survey? I don't know, I'm just wondering.
Yes, okay, so 200 meal vouchers, where this idea comes from is because, based on like this year's Thanksgiving, we kind of like give out like, it's gonna be 300 meal vouchers, to international students who are like who's gonna stay on campus, and that's like a negotiable quantity to start with like, to negotiate with like the local eateries, so, and like, I feel like for a pilot program, we might want to ensure that this project is gonna be doable, because we need to talk to the local eateries, and so I want to be a little conservative about like the amount to start with.
Senator Siddiqui?
I know that you're requesting funding from Senate unallocated. Where else did you kind of look forward to obtain funding before going to unallocated?
So far, I'm thinking about Senate a lot, like,
So nowhere else?
sorry.
If I may, Senator Yuji came up to GDC to ask for funding first, but we felt like we are less affluent than the Senate, so we refer her to the Senate first.
Any further questions? Senator Wayne?
This isn't really a question. I would just like to reemphasize Senator Siddiqui's suggestion on the table before we while you figure out what the best way is to reach out to unprotected school undocumented students. Because honestly, I feel that something that'd be very important to me is making sure that undocumented students also have access to this, instead of mentioning this is right, that they're in a different set of circumstances, maybe experiencing different concerns when it comes to applying for somewhere that might change something.
Yeah, I totally see your point, and, yeah, we plan to launch this event on, very beginning of the winter quarter, which means we're gonna have plenty, like, sufficient time to kind of like finalize everything and like make it mature when it like launches officially, so, I don't, because the thing is, we need time to talk to the eateries, so we need the funding to approve to talk to them, so that's like my concern, sorry.
Senator Amin?
Thank you. This isn't a direct question, it's more like, I totally agree with everything that you said. I think in order to do all the things that you want to do, you do need this money. So you've said already that you're gonna go and talk to undocumented students and do all the things that you need to do, and it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but do you need this money to go and do all of those things?
Chair, if I may suggest.
Parliamentarian Jha?
Senate Chair, so if I may suggest something, the Senate does have the option to pass a funding request with condition attached. So for instance, if the Senate would like to pass the funding request contingent upon undocumented students are included in the project, that's an option. I yield.
Thank you for the point of clarifications, Parliamentarian Jha. Senator Singh, Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, just not a question, just one last quick comment going forward. So I see we're starting to get requests for funds from Senate unallocated from senators and other members of the committee. Great. I would just suggest going forward, before we approve any expenditures from Senate unallocated, I don't even want to use the word appreciate, because I would expect that multiple other sources of funding are sought out first before going to Senate unallocated, just because that fund is used to fund our retreat. It's used to fund a lot of important things, and we are early on in the year, and I just don't want to burn through too much. I'd like to spend as little of that money as possible and as much of the rollover that we've collected, as well as funds from campus. That's all.
Thank you. Senator Iden?
I also just want to like reiterate that I think this was like an issue the last Senate ran into, was like people coming to them about Senate allocated. Once that door is open, people are gonna see it as the source, like for the rest of the year. And we have to be very careful about who we do want to fund, if we choose to, but it's like, again, like once that door is open, it's open.
All right, thank you. Any further questions? Senator Singh?
I don't have a question, but I just want to say Senate unallocated is the purpose of these funds is to support programs or events or activities that benefit, educate, or entertain the student body. Right? They can't always come to the finance committee because we have specific legislation that we have to follow for every little thing. unallocated only has to follow policy. Right, stuff like seal, I can only fund RCOs. But MOU with program board, I can only fund events. So if we have SAE or we have projects like this, the best case or the best way to go about it is to fund through it unallocated.
Senator Amin?
This is not towards Ellen, more towards Dan. So or honestly, maybe Ariana, whichever one of you guys can answer the question. So our Senate unallocated, once hopefully we don't burn through all of it, but let's pretend we burn through all of Senate unallocated. Can we not also just take from rollover? Like how, if, for example, she wanted to request money directly from our rollover, is that not the same?
Senator Singh?
There, yeah.
It's always just transfer money from undesignated, which has about 3.7 million.
So then what's the issue in asking for?
Senator Siddiqui?
Okay, so a few things, I'm gonna break this down just on the record, so we're all on the same page. So last year, budget delibs, we cut 50% of rollover for certain VCUs. For lock-in VCUs, those funds were voted on by the student body to be used for specific purposes. So the rollover we collected from those groups can only be used for those purposes. For example, money rollover that we collected from SCORE can only be used to promote racial equity, because that is SCORE's mission. And that is the case for all the MOUs that Ariana is working on with the VCUs, and that is the case for the majority of funding that is at the disposal of the finance committee this year for RCOs and other projects like this. In regard to undesignated, I've had conversations with Michael as well as our internal compliance officer, David Junior Sim. There's a few kind of issues at stake here. Number one is that there's a certain portion of funds within AS undesignated that are actually lock-ins that we can't touch for one reason or another. David or Michael will be able to give you a better explanation. I've been planning on contacting them and setting up a meeting because I want to transfer a large sum or the largest sum possible from AS undesignated to Senate unallocated. The problem is that within the 4 million that is in undesignated right now, we're not sure how much we're actually able to touch. That being said, it is also a little bit unclear to me because my understanding is that AS undesignated is typically reserved for AS operational units and non-lock-in VCUs. But when I brought this issue up with both Michael and David, they told me different information and they recommended that I set up a meeting with them to determine which funds we can actually access and then making decisions on it from there.
Senator Singh?
Yeah, I'd recommend something other than unallocated because technically unallocated is given to the finance committee. And we can use it whenever we want to. We don't really need Senate approval. Like when SAE came to me, I could have just funded them, but I didn't because of Senate. I wanted to get their permission first. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Everything that the finance committee does, because they're a standing committee of the Senate, all their minutes have to be approved with the Senate. We can undo anything they do.
Yeah, but then, sorry, I don't need express permission from the Senate to fund out of it. You just have to ratify. It won't really be permission. Like that, everything I do already does get, it's not any different if I use it for CO or unallocated.
Senator Iden? Senator Gerson?
Thank you. I was just gonna respond to what Senator Iden said before about how if we open the door to Senate unallocated, it kind of like is like you lose control and you have to fund everything. I disagree in the sense that I think some things, such as like the project we were pitched before, their purpose is kind of to like advance students' learning, education, and like learning, you know, like expand their opportunities and their extracurricular activities, which like is the purpose and a mission of AS. But I think there's a difference when you're talking about like food insecurity, about a student need and a student want. And I think there is a distinction between funding things that help, that help students that are in need rather than in want. And I think if we break it down like that, it's not just like a free for all, whoever wants from Senate and allocated can take it. And I think if we're deciding between projects and have to make hard decisions, this is one of the ones that personally I think we should fund.
All right, Senator Siddiqui?
Okay, I have 2 points I want to make. The first is, I want to read out a section from page 12 of the Constitution, if anyone wants to pull out legal code. Duties and powers of the Senate. The Senate shall be empowered to authorize all boards, commissions, committees, and other agencies of the associated students. The legal definition of authorize is either giving an entity permission to do something or not giving an entity permission to do something. The way we do that is by instituting bylaw changes. It's by approving or not approving minutes and other directions that we make under action items. I'm troubled by this kind of idea that's being floated out here, that certain orgs, especially a standing committee of our own body, are autonomous to us. That's not true. We approve everything. It doesn't matter whether it's a committee, a BCU, or an entity. The Senate approves or doesn't approve every single thing that happens, and that includes expenditures made by the Finance Committee pertaining to Senate and allocated. To the second point that a senator brought up, what I want to emphasize is that none of these programs are like bad. No one is saying that these are bad ideas. No one is saying not to fund them. What I'm saying is that it's week 4 of fall. We have 5 more meetings this quarter. We have 9 more meetings in winter. We have 8 more meetings in spring. There's no reason to just rush through and spend all this money right now, waiting another week. Again, both of these were just introduced to us for the first time today. It was just introduced to us. We don't lose anything by waiting a week or 2 and doing our due diligence. No one is saying not to fund them. No one is saying to throw them out. What we are saying is that if we are going to be spending not just our money, but money that students are paying in, these are student fees. You and I and everyone else are paying $200 each quarter to fund this. I'm not comfortable with just spending student fees if we're not doing our due diligence first and making sure that all these conditions are met beforehand. I do understand the parliamentarian's point, but if you are asking me to fund $15,000 for something, I don't want to put conditions on there saying that you need to include undocumented students. I need specifics on how that's going to happen and how that's going to occur. In my personal opinion, we need to see everything out on the table before we make these funding decisions. And again, we're not saying no. We're doing our due diligence and we're doing our duty as the legislative body who has the power of the purse and controls almost $20 million of fees that you, I, and every other undergraduate student is paying.
Do you have any further questions? Yes, proxy for, what was your last? Clara.
So I work for basic. I was just wondering if you had consultation with SS or the basic needs center here. So I work for the basic needs center as a case manager, and like USS has like a new voucher program out there. And USS stands for undocumented students services.
Yeah.
But do you think expanding that program might be better?
I would like to balancing committee because I'm doing something, so like, I don't want to probably get this and that, like, I don't think that.
Any further questions? Senator Singh?
It's not a question again. So Senator Siddiqui said. Right, sorry, so financial policy, section 3 AS financial structure, clause 1, AB. Maybe after the point immediately given the approval of the chair. The Senate can overturn it, but they do not approve or ratify. Technically, I can just do things. The Senate can overturn it, but you don't give me approval or ratify. You can overturn it, but you don't approve it. Financial policy.
Order.
Recommendation.
Yes, Parliamentarian John?
I recommend it we move into immediate 5 minutes recess. Because
All right. Senator Siddiqui?
Senator Singh, I hear what you're saying. You cited financial policies and procedures. I cited the ASUCSB Constitution. There's levels, there's financial policies and procedures, there's standing policies and procedures, there's bylaws, and there's the Constitution. The Constitution triumphs all, and I just gave you the legal definition of the word authorize.
Could you state again, sir?
I would like to ask for unanimous consent to go into a 5-minute recess. With no one objecting, with no one objecting, it passes. We're in 5-minute recess. From 8:50 to 8:20. We're at time, everybody get to your seat.
If you need updating recommendations, like.
Are you okay?
I definitely.
You know.
They're watching us.
Where's Senator Amin and Gerson?
They're probably gonna happen.
Should we just start?
Just
We
start.
should just start.
All right. We are back in discussion. Of the Gaoshu Food Inclusion Program pilot program. Do we have any further questions or comments? All right. Do we have any motion?
Yes.
Yes, Senator Yu?
Motion to pass the funding request for Gaoju Food Inclusion Program, pilot program.
All right, there has been a motion to pass the GFIP pilot program. Do we have a second? Senator Amin,
Second.
seconded by Senator Amin. We are now in discussion. Senator Iden?
We're just motioning to pass the, are we motioning to pass the funding right now, or are we motioning to
Yes.
pass the program? Okay.
Because by passing the program, we are also passing the funding. Senator Siddiqui?
Call the question.
Okay, call question has been made. Senator Siddiqui,
Objection.
there's been an objection to the call to question.
Wait, point of order, he made the point, he made the call to question, he can't also make the objection.
They called on me twice.
I did.
They called on.
I called on Senator
They
Sig-
called on me.
I called on Senator Siddiqui. Parliamentarian Shaw?
I mean, it's very unconventional in your source of order for someone to call the question and object to the call
Is
question.
it unconventional or is it allowed? That's the question. Unconventional doesn't mean not allowed.
Can we just have, I know you're trying to speak against the thing, but we can, have to be about calling the question and to object to it. I mean, if the sending wants, but it's very unconventional, that's it.
Senator Kada?
Senator, call the question.
Call question has been made by Senator Kada. Senator Siddiqui?
Objection.
An objection has been made to call the question.
Okay, so we're now in vote,
Parliamentarian Shaw?
we're now in vote to vote.
We're now in a vote to pass the motion to pass GFIP. I think voting to vote. You guys killed me.
If I may.
Parliamentarian Shaw?
So since there is a call question and an objection to the call question, the call question is an undebatable motion, so it cannot be debated upon. And since there is an objection to it, we have to go into an immediate vote on whether or not to vote on the motion. So I vote to vote.
Is that clear? Senator Gerson?
Motion to vote by raise of hand?
The chair announced the motion.
We're already in a vote to vote. We will be raising our hands to vote. Okay. If you would like to move into a vote to pass the bill, raise your hand. Hmm? All right.
Can you raise them high, please?
I'm sorry. Can we just clarify? Can we redo this? Because we're voting on whether or not to vote. We're not voting on the motion. So.
Right.
Yes.
We're voting on vote,
Okay,
going into
everyone
a
understand we're
vote.
voting to vote?
Yeah.
Yeses? No.
All right, we are now voting no.
No's, raise your
No.
hand for
Raise
no,
high.
saying you don't want to go into a vote.
Some of us are voting twice, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
should we restart?
Can we please restart?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's restart and make,
Everyone pay attention, please, pay attention.
Okay, we are not voting on the Gaucho Food Inclusion Program just yet. This vote is to, if you're voting yes, then we're going to proceed into a vote to vote on the, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and if I could just add something, if you are voting yes, meaning that you want to go into a vote, that means that the vote that happens after, if it doesn't pass, it means that technically this program is dead and it would have to be brought up again.
Point of inquiry for the parliamentarian.
yes.
So,
So I was under the impression that if we go into a vote to vote, we just go back into the discussion.
now, if we go back, if the calculation was passed, we're going to a vote that it's the vote on the program. If you want to have a discussion, so you have to defeat the calculation. So which means vote no on the vote to vote. Then we go back to discussion. So in summary, if you want to vote right now, vote yes to the vote to vote. If you want to have more discussion, vote no to the vote to vote.
So yeah, so if we vote no, we just go back into discussion.
Yes.
Okay.
Point of inquiry?
Yes,
Is it
Sarah,
also parliamentary? If we vote no, or if we vote yes to vote and then we vote no, is it still true that technically what Ella's proposing would just die, or is that not?
Well, that's, so at tonight's meeting, this agenda item is that, but if the senator would like and the MVP agrees, they can also bring it back our future days meeting. By a motion to reconsider.
Is it clear? Senator Wayne?
I guess another point of inquiry is how, if we're not gonna table this, will we have to kill these things in first? No?
Yes, if you want to table if you want to table the motions, if you want to table the program, you have to defeat the vote to vote. And then. No, actually, if you want to table it, we have to get the first to withdraw the motion, otherwise we cannot table it.
Senator Siddiqui?
Okay, I want to try to explain this in the best way I can. The motion is to pass the funding request for GFIP. That means the motion is to pass the $12,000 or $13,000 that Senator Yu is requesting. There was a call to question made, and then there was an objection to call the question. Now we are in a vote to vote. If enough people vote yes and the vote to vote passes, we go directly into a vote where it either passes or it doesn't pass. If we go into a vote and it doesn't pass, this project is dead. If you want to table it, you vote no on the vote to vote and we go back into discussion, and then the original motion would have to be withdrawn and then another motion would have to be made to table it.
Parliamentarian Jeff?
Yeah, but if I may add, just because something fails in the Senate doesn't mean it's dead.
Yeah.
It's dead for tonight, but it can be,
It can always be reintroduced.
yes.
But it cannot be tabled to advocacy. It would have to be tabled to advocacy in the next meeting, meaning it would delay the process.
All right, yay. Let's go into the vote to vote. Hands up high for yes.
Okay, can you please raise your hand high?
Tell them to
Thank
raise
you.
their thing.
Yes, raise your name tag, please.
All right. And now for no. You cannot
Raise
vote
it
twice.
high.
You
Raise
cannot
it
vote
high.
twice.
You cannot vote twice. Raise
We
it
have to
high.
restart. Someone's voting
Are we
twice.
restarting?
Yes. We have to restart.
All right, at this point, we are going to vote with pieces of paper. I will be providing the paper. Also, we have to vote. Quiet. Thank you. Senator Gerson?
Do we not have to vote on how we're voting if we're not voting by raise of hands?
Parliamentarian Jaw?
So we are now in a vote to vote. And if vote to vote passed, then the Senate can motion for method of voting. But a vote to vote, the chair can just decide because it's just vote to vote.
Senator Rocio, if you would like to, is it, Parliamentarian Jaw, is it legal for me to ask Senator Rocio to just text me?
Yes.
All right, Senator Rocio, we are now in a vote to vote. Please text me your yes or no. Senator, are you?
Can I rescind the motion?
Considering we're in a vote to vote,
Yeah.
Sure, so the motion is.
Yes.
Parliamentarian Jaw, if we are in a vote to vote,
That's the discretion of the chair.
if you would like to rescind your motion, then I'm going to accept it.
Thank you.
Um,
Can I have the time?
all right, we are now in discussion.
Wait, no,
No,
sorry, Chair,
no.
since the motion was rescinded.
Amend.
But we're in discussion of the
Amend the
program
motion.
still.
But
Oh.
we're in discussion of the motion. Oh, we're in discussion of the program,
Yes.
yes, we're not like in, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to-
Okay, to clarify, we are now back in discussion of the GFIP pilot program. That's it. All right, do you have any further questions or inquiries about the pilot program? Senator Iden,
So okay, so now that motion is dead, right?
the motion has died.
Okay, I will make a motion to table the Gaucho Food Inclusion pilot program.
A motion has been made to table the GFIP pilot program. Senator Siddiqui,
Senator Iden, I would like to request for you to amend your motion to table the Gaucho Food Inclusion Program to the advocacy committee.
Senator Iden. All right. Motion has not been, motion has not been amended. We need a second for the motion to table the GFIP pilot program. Senator Amin,
Second.
seconded by Senator Amin, we are now in discussion. Senator Presendi,
Call the question.
the question has been called. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes to table the GFIP pilot program to next
Motion to
week.
Table it where? What was the motion?
It's being tabled to next week, so it's gonna be on our agenda next week.
It should be specified like where,
So when you motion to table a bill, we've never specified.
we, most of the.
Needs to be recognized by the chair.
The motion has passed. So we're now moving on. We are now moving into the Senate Strategic Vision Plan proposal.
Well, okay, first of all, I motion to remove the first suggestion off the agenda.
All right. Wait, do you need to motion that? There's a
Just,
suggestion.
I'll just take it off. if I want.
Okay.
Uh,
Senator Siddiqui,
I motion to ratify the updated objectives of the 75th Senate's collaboration with the Administrative Committee Elections Board and the 75th Senate Strategic Vision Board.
all right, there's been a motion to ratify the updated objectives of the 75th Senate's collaboration with the Administrative Committee Elections Board and the 75th Senate Strategic Vision Plan. we have a second, Senator Wang? Seconded by Senator Wang for non-discussion. Senator Butler,
Call the question.
the question has been called. Do we have any objections? All right, seeing none, motion passes. Okay. We have to close it.
Sure.
All right, Senator Siddiqui,
Motion to table the ratification of the 75th Senate Strategic Vision Plan to the week 5 Senate meeting.
all right, there's been a motion to table the ratification of the updated objectives of the 75th Senate's collaboration with the Administrative Committee's Elections Board and the 75th Senate Strategic Vision Plan to week 5. Do we have a second? Senator Cadal? Seconded by Senator Cadal, we're non-discussion. Senator Amin?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections? All right, seeing none, motion passes. We are now moving into old business. I would like to make everyone aware that at 9, we will be entering recess. All right, first, a bill to add specific exceptions to the AS financial policies and procedures. I encourage everyone to open them while we're in discussion. Senator Singh?
Point of information, I want to edit something, so I would motion to open the vote, right?
Yes, well, yes? Parliamentarian Joe?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I want to edit something on the bill.
Yeah.
So do I just motion to open the bill?
I mean, it would have to include the specific amendment now. Parliamentarian Joe?
Senator Chair, so yes, there has to be specific language amendment, but we had to open the bill first. So,
Okay,
yes.
so, okay. Well, there has been a motion made to open a bill to add specific exceptions to the AS financial policies and procedures by Senator Singh. Is there a second? Senator Amin?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Amin. We are non-discussion. Senator Cadal?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections? All right, seeing none. Motion passes to open a bill to add specific exceptions to the AS financial policies and procedures.
What do I do now? Do I just say that?
Yes, if you would like to make an amendment, this is the time to motion an amendment to be made to the bill.
Motion to make an edit on clause 7B, subclause 5, change ASBCUs to RCOs.
All right, there has been a motion to amend the language of
Clause 7,
Section B,
subsection 5.
subsection 5, to correct, the language from BCUs to RCOs. Do we have a second? Senator McClintock? Seconded by Senator McClintock. We are non-discussion. Senator Martinez? The question has been called. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes to make that revision. Yeah, Senator Singh?
Do I do it or what was happening next? I don't, I didn't.
Parliamentarian Joe?
So since the motion is passed, you can just motion to close the.
No.
All right, Senator Singh?
Who makes the edit though? Like,
You do.
We do.
well, I don't have edit access.
Well, I'm gonna give you that right now.
Thanks. I mean, I introduced it last week.
All right, well, there has been a motion to close the bill.
No, there hasn't.
Wait.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Chill.
Senator Singh?
What are we waiting for? I
I
need access.
sent you that.
To who? Which me? Order.
Order,
I don't have access.
I have sent it to your AS-A Sing, you don't have access to that email?
I'm just sorry, on UCSB.
All right, I will add it,
Press and edit.
I will add that now. Senator McClintock?
Can you change the spelling of my name? It's very wrong right now.
Senator Singh?
Motion to close the bill to add specific exceptions to AS financial policies and procedures.
A motion has been made to close a bill to add specific exceptions to AS financial policies and procedures. Do we have a second? Senator Martinez? Seconded by Senator Martinez. We're now in discussion. Senator McClintock? Call the question has been made. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
All right, seeing none, motion passes. Senator Singh?
Point of information, so can we pass this bill today or no? We have to wait a week again?
It's in old business, so we can pass it today.
You know, they made the change. Sorry.
Order.
Oh, Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, so this issue came up at the last meeting because we opened the bill and just made a change. Technically, that is a completely new bylaws change and automatically has to be tabled. Attorney General Carlson confirmed the same at the last meeting when we had a similar issue, so it has to be tabled.
All right, Parliamentarian Shaw?
Well, I understand the point taken by the Attorney General, but it's been the precedent of the Senate for the minor revision that can be treated as already being tabled. I do believe it's up to the discretion of the chair and eventually the Senate as a whole. Since there are no significant content changes, I do not necessarily believe the one-week table rule applies here.
Senator Siddiqui?
While I understand where you're coming from, as a parliamentarian, you have jurisdiction over your interpretation of Robert's rules. Attorney General Carlson has jurisdiction over interpretation of the entire legal code, and that triumphs Robert's rules. And he gave his opinion at the last meeting, stated that if a new bylaws change was made, we have to table it, and he followed that precedent with a different bill at the last meeting. So I don't see a reason to deviate from that in this instance.
All right. Well, the bill will be tabled for another week. Now moving into a bill to establish clear guidelines. Senator Siddiqui? Oh, Senator Singh?
Motion to table a bill to add specific exceptions to AS financial policies and procedures for a week.
That's automatic. It's not, it's,
We've been making.
Well, it's
motions
fine,
to
it's
table.
fine. It doesn't matter. If it's
Sorry,
automatic or
Siddiqui.
not, doesn't make.
So I.
would you rescind your motion? Okay, thank you. All right, now moving into a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions, authored by Senator Iden and Senator Siddiqui. Senator Iden?
So I'm gonna, after I'm done speaking against this, I'm just gonna motion to table this one because I had some discussion with, our financial operations, and Arima as well about, or Senator Singh about some, of his concerns. Basically, just so everyone's on the same page when we get to it in new business, we need to have the year end closed by June 30th for all requisitions, because if we want to go into our new MIP system, we need it done as soon as possible. For reference, Michael and his team are still processing requisitions from last year, and they're not going to be done until November. So that's why I added like that strict, like 30, there needs to be a 30-day policy, and we added some more flexibility regarding that, but like there needs to be a guideline stating that like it needs to be done, because if not, then there's nothing to hold anyone accountable for requisitions. But anyways, can I motion to table? And I'm gonna motion a resolution, sorry, I'm gonna motion a resolution on the agenda later in this meeting. That's a directional resolution from Michael and how he's going to employ his policies regarding the financial policies with requisitions. So even then next week, once we make these changes, it's gonna get tabled again for a week anyway. So next week we'll pass this bill so it becomes actually legal code. Any questions before I do that?
So point of clarification. Do you aim to amend this bill? Like, would you like to make any changes to it? Is
Yeah, I
that
mean,
what you're suggesting?
so I'm just gonna make the changes before it goes back on the agenda.
So this would have to be introduced in new business because it's considered a new bill.
Okay, so we're going through what we have to go through right now, so we can make the
Yes.
changes this meeting.
If you would like to make any changes, I suggest doing that now.
Okay, well, I have that ready. I'll request access and let me make it my motion up.
Senator Martinez?
I just wanted to say I'm ready and then soon start.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm fixing it now.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry.
I have one person.
Sure.
Senator Iden?
I motion to open a bill to add specific exceptions to AS financial policies and procedures.
All right, a motion has been made to open a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions by Senator Iden. Do we have a second? Senator McClintock? All right, we are now in discussion. Yes. Proxy Clara? Call question has been made. Do you have any objections? Hearing none, motion passes to open a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions. Senator Iden, if you would like to request access?
Yes. Question
Yes,
for the
Senator
chair.
Iden?
Would it be possible to just make my changes without making a bunch of motions and then have the Senate approve it? Also for the parliamentarian, I guess. Could I have the changes ready and I could just put them out, or do I need a specific motion to make those changes?
Senator, Parliamentarian Jha?
The senator can submit a written motion to so put the change of light to the agenda, maybe link it to it.
Yeah, so coming up. Let's try.
Even if you can't edit it, you can comment the motion and then I can add it once it's made.
I see what you mean. Okay, is it possible, sorry,
Yes,
could
Senator
I,
Iden?
because I wasn't exactly prepared to, because I was under the impression I get it over the weekend. Could we close this, go through the other old business, and then I'll have it ready by the time we get back to it, if that's cool with everyone? Instead of people like just waiting for me to do this, or
So,
I
From
can
what-
also just like go through it and it'll take like.
so
15
would you like to rescind your original motion to open the bill so we can come back to it later?
Yes, I rescind my original motion.
All right. The motion to open a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions was rescinded. We are now moving into a bill to reform and repair Senate and VCU relations. Written by Senator Siddiqui and Senator Butler. Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, not much to say regarding this piece of legislation. We discussed it extensively in the last meeting, and Senators Lala and Senator Iden had some very good amendments they wanted to make in regards to recording like legal written proof of any oral consultation that's taking place in regards to a VC bylaw changes. I think all the necessary edits have been made to this legislation. We've already tabled it. So in my opinion, I think it's ready to pass, but I defer to the second, Senator Butler.
Senator Butler?
Yeah, I agree with Dan. We talked about the edits made. I 100% agree. I think they're great suggestions. Yeah, I believe unless there's further consultation needed or suggestions, I believe that we're ready to pass this bill.
All right. Thank you. Huh? Yeah, technically we're in discussion. If anyone would have any questions or comments they would like to address, now is the time. Senator Butler?
Motion to pass a bill to reform and repair Senate and BCU relations.
A motion has been made to pass a bill to reform and repair Senate and BCU relations. Is there a second? Senator Kadah?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Kadah. We are now in discussion. Senator Siddiqui?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do you have any objections?
Consent.
All right, seeing none, motion passes to adopt a bill to reform and repair Senate and BCU relations. We are now moving into a bill to expand the Office of Senate Leadership co-authored by Senator Siddiqui and Senator Butler. Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, so similar deal. We discussed this extensively at the last meeting. I was very relieved and pleased to see that everyone was on board with it. Again, just emphasizing that this is not me and Alexa's staff, it's the Senate staff. They will be working most closely and most directly with us, but we work for you all as the Senate. So as an example, if you come to us with a project or a committee project, that becomes a part of our job because our job is overseeing and managing all the committees. That being said, the staff that we're working with are not just going to help us on our own personal projects, they're going to be helping the Senate complete all of their projects as a function to better help myself and Senator Butler complete our pro temporal and also Senate duties. I think all the positions that we've added are very concrete and specific and focused in nature. And so I think we've discussed it extensively. I think this is ready to be passed, and I'd like to see it passed today, but I defer to Senator Butler.
Senator Butler?
Yeah, I wasn't here last week to see, the first week's discussion on the bill. And if we don't just enter the motion, I'd love to hear, some other senators' thoughts on the bill. This is so exciting, because I feel like, yes, both me and Senator Siddiqui have heads of staffs, but boy, are our heads of staffs taxed. So this would allow more projects, more efficiency. I believe the bill is very well done, very well written. All of the positions are very specific, very much needed to our work, which is very much multifaceted, and it works in a lot of sectors and areas of associated students. And this, as as Senator Siddiqui said, it's not just for us, it's for me and Dan, it's for all of us. So if anyone wants to come forward, come to our staff specifically with projects, with interest, we would love to have you on board as well.
All right, Senator Corsendi?
I'm just wondering, like, if let's say like a senator would want to utilize this staff, how would we go about that? Like, how do we contact them and ask them to like join us? That's one question. And another one, when do they start?
Senator Siddiqui?
So for the first question, there's two ways to go about it. If you read the original resolution drafted by former Senator Shaw Melvin Carlson, if you want to formally direct staff, it would be through the form of either a motion or a directional resolution. I wouldn't expect that would be needed. Usually I would expect that you can just text me and ask me for help, but if for some reason in the future a pro tempore refuses to utilize their staff for something, that clause was put in there so that the Senate can override them and direct the staff to do something, but I expect in 99% of cases, you just text me or Alexa, and they're gonna be on board to help you, obviously. In regards to your second question, so I'm having my head of staff and my prospective senior advisor get to work on a Google form that I'm collaborating with Senator Butler on. And as soon as this passes, I want to send this out like either on Friday of this week or Monday of next week, because I want to get hired ASAP and appointments will be coming in. My goal is to have all of the staff hired by the end of fall quarter at the latest, ideally a few weeks before.
And sorry,
Senator Corsendi?
you're conducting interviews to find them?
Yes, there's gonna be a Google form sent out to the entire campus and undergraduates wide email, and there's gonna be like questions, resume, and then we're gonna weed through it and then interview the top applicants.
Senator Butler, do you have anything to add?
Nope. Excited to see it pass and, thanks.
All right. Senator Butler?
Motion to pass a bill to extend the office of Senate leadership.
A motion has been made to pass a bill to expand the office of Senate leadership. Do we have a second? Senator Corsendi?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Corsendi. We are non-discussion. Senator Siddiqui?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections? Do we have any objections to the consent? Seeing none, motion passes. I need to use the bathroom. So can I? It's because Dan wrote.
How about we just going to read us now for 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's about to be free.
All right, seeing that we're so close to 9, we will now be entering a recess for 15 minutes. We will be coming back at
It's 15 minutes.
9:13.
Well,
No.
9:12.
9:12.
9:12.
It's 9:13.
Oh, sorry, I'm not good at math. I'm gonna do my Spanish. Social science major.
I added an extra minute.
Okay.
Yeah, you were right. But I need that one back.
I'm insecure about my mathematics.
Your mathematics is good. There's some, okay.
So the minute would like to, raise their hand if they can't hear.
Yeah, perfect.
So we can see them.
No, summer isn't here anymore. All right. We are back from recess at 9:16 PM. Going straight into a bill to reform honoraria in ASU/CSB. Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, okay, so first of all, thank you to Mingjun for coming to public forum and thank you for all the work that you've done on this bill. I know that it's your baby and we all do appreciate the work and the labor that you put into drafting this legislation. When it comes to the office hours requirement, I'm 1,000% on board, no objection there. I think everyone else is. To be completely honest, I do see where Mingjun is coming from when he's talking about the benefits of increasing this honorary award, but I also think that I want to hear what everyone else here has to say to better inform my decision about it. And more specifically, I want to go into the specific each item of feedback that each BCU left, and I want to discuss it thoroughly as a Senate because I believe the way it was reported to us at the last meeting wasn't an intentional misrepresentation, but I think it was an unintentional misrepresentation in that there was one BCU who submitted the same form 5 times to have 5 different complaints, where every other BCU filled it out once and they would kind of just express no strong feelings either for or against. So for that reason, I think it's worth revisiting, but I don't have strong opinions on it until I hear more feedback from the other authors as well as other senators, and also once we go over the specific BCU responses, I think we'll be able to articulate a stronger position towards this legislation, but I defer to the second and third.
Senator Butler?
Yeah, thank you, Senator Siddiqui. Honestly, so I wouldn't have been an author on this piece of legislation if I didn't see the benefits that it would bring to the association. I also, I watched a portion of the meeting last week, but I specifically watched the portion where Senator Ganesh gave the report, which was very disappointing to me because it felt like from the report, it was a complete failure, essentially. But I further reviewed the spreadsheet, which I would love for you to direct you all to. It's on the agenda. I believe there's like 60 VCUs. Correct me if I'm wrong. These are 7 responses, and 4 of them are from the Environmental Affairs Board. Yeah. I don't feel like we can adequately judge the entirety of VCU's opinion just based off of these 4 responses. I feel like further consultation with the Environmental Affairs Board, which I feel like was the majority of the negative feelings towards it, needs to be processed and sought out rather than just completely giving up on this bill. And I want to personally thank Parliamentarian Jha for pursuing this, because I do think this is going to be a great addition to the association. Yeah, I'm done.
All right, so. Yes, Senator Singh?
Yeah, first off, thank you Parliamentarian Zhao for this bill, for helping out on this bill. I understand this is your baby, but we also have to consider opinions of BCUs. I think we also have to consider the opinions from everyone else before we pass this bill or whatever. So, yeah, I just want to echo what Siddiqui and Butler said. We should listen to what people have to say about this more and the economists go up this point as well.
All right, thank you. Senator McClintock?
I just for like context, I'm on the liaison committee. And I think boards are still getting used to coming back and working together. Because I've been reaching out to a lot of boards and they're not responding, which is I think the primary issue why we're not getting feedback. I know even with my own board, I had to pester our chair, be like, hey, you need to look over this. So I think there is still some kind of like disconnect. I don't know how much longer we have to maybe continue talking with the boards, because I know that's, I think, the primary issue, what Senator Butler was saying about, it kind of felt like a failure because that's just my little.
Senator Iden?
No, point of information.
Oh, yeah, point of information about parliamentarian draft.
Yes, so just for context, I reached to everyone who filled out a response from last Tuesday with my specific response to their concerns, and no one had asked them if they want to meet with me to discuss it further. No one responded to me so far. So I am.
All right, thank you. Senator Iden?
Okay, it's just me being nitpicky because like you called me out on it. When it comes to point of information, it's to get information, not to provide information. But anyways, sorry, parliamentarian. If assuming like we don't really have, I don't think there's a rush on the BCU award. I really do appreciate you and your persistent lobbying of trying to get me on this. And I do appreciate that, and I do acknowledge a lot of the points you've made. I think I could come to support this should we have, if there's a way to like direct this onto the agendas of BCU so they can discuss it and we get actual feedback that way, because it's a bit harder to like say, hey, fill out the survey, and it's like optional. I don't know if we can like direct this onto their agenda so they can actually discuss the award itself. And should they support it? Sure, you have it. That's my, I yield. That's my point.
Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the legality of tabling something to a BCU's agenda. That would probably be a parliamentarian question. What I would propose though, and we can do this now or maybe a little bit later, but I did want to read out through each response by each BCU on the form and read out all of the questions and all of their answers to each question, and then give space for everyone to provide their own feedback on what each BCU thinks, just so that we are actually have proof on the record. We are reviewing every single concern by every single BCU.
I was gonna do that, but thank you. Senator Iden?
I do agree that we should get it on the record, but my other question is, so we only had 11, or I guess 10 BCUs. How many BCUs are there?
No, it wasn't 10 BCUs because 4 were the same BCU.
Okay, so we
So it's
had
like,
a very small number of BCUs out of, what is it? It's like
we have like 6
51?
out of like
77 BCUs?
77.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's, me personally, I just don't see the point in going through like a couple of responses. Like, I don't even see us like voting to pass this today without any actual feedback from the people who it's going to affect. That's just where I.
Senator McClintock?
I just have a question. Do we have a way of getting the BCs together to just like in person to have like a mandatory, like, not even mandatory, I don't know. Just like a way to get like, or even just chairs into a room and be like, hey, we like need you to look over this because it will impact you. Is that like something that's possible? A mandatory meeting? Yes.
Senator Siddiqui?
What I would recommend is that if you want to go that route, I will table it to liaison committee again, and the next time liaison committee holds a meeting, you would invite the AB board chair or any other chair who had feedback to give, and if they weren't able to attend in person, I would recommend giving them another space to provide their feedback and their criticisms. Another thing I would also add, and this goes for all committees, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, I think I have, all of your meetings have to have a standard set time. You have to meet weekly legally, and they have to be published. And to my knowledge, that's not the case for liaison committee right now. That's fine. We're all still learning, but that does need to change. Also, just so for the purposes of like when legislation is tabled to liaison committee, BCUs can know when and where to go to address their concerns. So just wanted to put that out there.
Also, when we're talking about like minutes for each of the BCU's meeting, we're not even receiving that. So it's difficult. Senator Iden?
Question for the parliamentarian, since we passed a bill to reform and repair Senate and BC relations. I think it's arguable that this is also a bill that may affect any BCU. Would this not have to go through the same consultation process that's outlined in the bill we passed tonight?
Parliamentarian Shaw?
I do believe there is a consultation process to be held. I have to look into the specific language used by that bill that we passed earlier tonight. But I'll say, as a general matter, since it was sent out to the entirety of the association and there is a way to provide feedback, I do believe it is enough consultation. It is no way for us to force each BCU to vote over it. It's just not possible.
Senator Siddiqui?
So Senator, I mean, within a bill to reform and repair Senate and BC relations, those specific legal code changes were made under a section of legal code called BCU autonomy, and it specifically pertains to specific bylaw changes to that entity itself. So because these bylaw changes are not to any specific BCU, you would not have to follow the steps outlined in this bill. This bill is only for if you're making a specific bylaw change, for example, to EAB, that you would have to follow through the process outlined in this bill.
Senator Iden?
I understand what it might be under, but the legal code, that's not what it says. It says any changes that may affect any board, committee, or commission. And like, obviously, you know, there's a scope to this, but without like a JC who's defined that, like, I don't see how we could pass this without that consultation process.
Sure.
Parliamentarian Shaw?
My interpretation is that the chair can make that decision. If the chair believes this Aurora bill falls into the purview of that consultation, then sure, it needs to go through that process. But if the chair rules that it does not fall into that purview, then it's not a yield.
Senator Siddiqui?
Well, I understand you're reading the specific clause word for word. The larger point I'm making is that this clause is within another portion of legal code that specifically is section 2 of Article XI, autonomy of AS boards, committees, and commissions. So because it's under that section, that entire section, if you read the further legal code besides just the changes that are included in this bill, that entire section, the idea of saying the autonomy of boards, committees, and commissions, that means it's pertaining to direct bylaw changes of those BCUs. I mean, that's my interpretation of it. I thought that was pretty apparent. If people disagree, we can go back and change the language, but because it's under that section of legal code, and that section of legal code has a specific purpose, that's why my interpretation is the way it is.
All right, thank you. We're still in discussion. Senator Lola?
Listen, BCU's opinions clearly are the primary thing here, but are we gonna talk at some point about the merits of the bill as we interpret them, about our own opinions? I really don't want to cut the discussion in the middle, but I feel like is the plan for the authors to extend it another week and then we have that discussion next week, or is it best to deal with it now? I really want to work with what's best for you guys' vision.
Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, I mean, this is an open discussion on the legislation. Again, my contribution to the discussion was just saying we should go over BCU's concerns. Anyone's able to bring up any point they want to make about the legislation.
Senator Lola?
Yeah, then why not? I just wanted to time it best. Frankly, I addressed these concerns with Ming Jun personally, otherwise I wouldn't do this probably, but I think that it's necessary to discuss this as a body entirely. I think obviously what BCUs think of this and how they would be impacted by it is obviously the primary thing, but there are some honestly philosophical objections I have to this and about the kind of association that we would want to restructure and reform. The first thing is just the idea that better performance as a BCU will be rewarded financially. The example that I gave to Ming Jun was of let's say two people in their mid-20s. One is at a top law firm, one is at a department in the federal government. It is expected for the young lawyer to be rewarded financially and incentivized by higher pay at the end of the year. But that does not seem to be the case for the guy I don't know, let's say the Department of Transportation. Like, there's not that expectation that higher or better performance will lead to higher financial incentives. The incentive and the reward in a governmental structure, be it at the campus level, be it nationally, is just the understanding and the self-actualization that you've served your constituents and the whatever reason it is that you were elected or appointed to that position in the first place. That's my deep held belief. And if we want to move towards some kind of nonprofit mode or, I don't know, quasi corporatized thing as an association, then sure, but I don't know if we actually hold that belief, but I think that's what this would move us towards. And one point that Mingjun said was that, look, this might be subjective, but so is everything else, or so are all of the other decisions made in the association, including financial ones. I don't think that that argument holds much water, because if these decisions are subjective, these other ones I'm speaking of, then we should find a way to make them more objective and make them more practical instead of adding one more subjective decision to be made. So, yeah, more than willing to hear more BCU intake if you guys think that it wasn't sufficient. But with the respect that I hold for the office, with the respect that I hold for the sponsors and people who supported this, I think that this bill is not sufficient to move forwards if we take our own opinions into account.
All right, thank you. Is it my place to say something? You can. I suggest that even though the feedback was not ideal in terms of quantity, that we still review them so we have an idea of what BCUs are concerned about and asking for. I'm gonna read them. So the first section is, what do you think would be an appropriate criteria for the Outstanding BCU Award? Cosweb said some sort of budget/impact analysis, uniqueness and innovation of the work, going above and beyond legal code duties. TSA said they can't think of anything specific at the moment. Code said having contributed a significant resource for students on campus. EAB said that they don't believe any criteria can be set because every BCU is unique. The next one that EAB said, that they understand where the proposal is coming from and they want there to be a way for the hard work of BCUs to be acknowledged, but they think that it's impossible for someone to choose an outstanding BCU award without being subjective. HRB said commitment to your position and hours put in. EAB, NA, the next EAB one says that every BCU is unique and that there isn't fair criteria. CMU said largest impact on student body. CAB said effective communication and collaboration demonstrates consistent, transparent, and effective communication with other BCUs, Senate, and AS as a whole to foster a cohesive and unified campus. So far, BCUs have said that there being some type of guideline on budget and impact analysis, people going above and beyond their positions, collaborations, and communication would be effective strategies for how the criteria can be set. The next one, the next section. The bill states that the president should primarily consider the amount of direct student impact and service provided to the BCU. How do you think we can qualify that? Cosweb said that they would be weary of quantifying it based on number of students impacted because groups like TQComp or BWHC or JComp are not meant necessarily to serve all students, whereas certain groups are. TSA said that they think that there should be a survey conducted by Senate to see what the largest percentages of student population come back as, and then their identity, and then look at that. I'm sorry, what does that say? Oh, and then look at the BCUs that are aimed at serving those sections of student population and see if they work, if the work that they are doing has been substantial. Code said engagement, resources, and space. EAB said that they don't think student impact can be quantified. EAB then proceeded to say, unfortunately, there is no way to do that. And that it outright forces a negative comparison of VCUs and the students who serve in them, creating what they think could be a toxic culture for us to collaborate, communicate, and function in. The next one, HRB, said student impact can be quantified by how much students around campus report they have been helped by the services or events provided by a specific entity. EAB proceeded to say again, they don't think it'd be possible. EAB said again, they don't think it would be possible since everyone's work is different and it'd be unfair to quantify. CMU said user engagement, interactions on social media, attendance, and participation. CAB said incorporate direct feedback from the student body. This could be done through surveys or feedback forms targeted at current undergraduate students. This would allow them to share their experiences and perspectives by the services provided by the BCU. And that additionally, feedback from AS staff and advisory boards could offer valuable insights into BCU performance, highlighting areas of success and identifying opportunities for improvement. And that was the last one from that section. The last section is any comments, concerns, or anything on the bill. CAUSEWeb said they're concerned this is going to promote unnecessary competition among BCUs. Additionally, it's important to keep in mind the budget of each BCU. Groups with bigger budgets are going to be able to do more things than groups with smaller budgets. Student impact can mean a lot of different things, impact in terms of fun, happiness, health and safety, etc. It's very subjective. They would like the idea of rewarding BCUs for hard work, but they fear that this would cause infighting and drama. EAB said they're concerned about the award, particularly how it will affect the process and turnaround time of honoraria, as well as the bias it introduces. The process of awarding honoraria is already very difficult, delayed, and confusing for many students. They're worried that introducing a reward that requires nominations, review, and reallocation of funds will only further these difficulties. The next EAB comment said that they just want to iterate that they do understand the intention behind this bill, and they do think that honorary can be reformed and reshaped in a way that reflects positively on everyone, but that they don't think this bill hits the mark on what is wrong with their current honorary system. And then lastly, another one from EAB, that they're concerned this will cause more division and competition between VCUs and its students instead of creating our community on campus. Another one, this one being from CNU, our creative media unit, is that they feel like the honorary process has areas of growth. It has become accepted that honorary for one quarter never arrives in the quarter one earns it, which is demoralizing for student workers and may be causing the high turnover we see. And then they proceeded to say all the quarters that they have not received honoraria. And then CAB had no questions. So that was the complete review of the feedback that we did receive. Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, so a few things that I think I'm noticing here. I think Senator Lala brought up a really great point that this entire bill changes the structure of honoraria, and it does change the structure of how we move as an association, especially because it's changing, the criteria dependent upon which we're funding students and student loans. Because right now, the current criteria is that as long as you meet all the minimum conditions, you get the full payment, and if you don't meet certain conditions, your honoraria is docked. I do see the benefit in rewarding VCUs who go above and beyond the work that they're expected to do, because there's a lot of variety in the association. There's a good amount of people who go way above and beyond the expected duties that they're expected to do, whether it's senators, whether it's execs, or whether it's VCUs. There's other people who just meet the bare minimum requirements, and then there's other people who don't meet the requirements at all or don't meet enough of the requirements. So I absolutely see the value in rewarding BCUs who are putting in more work and creating a more tangible benefit for the student body in comparison to other BCUs. That being said, another point I want to address specifically from EAB about concerns with honorary distribution, 1000% agree. I think everyone in the Senate agrees with that. I've been an associate student since my freshman year. The paper and pen requisition system is a mess. That's why we adopted MIP. In regards to honoraria, the Temporary Committee for Financial Transparency and Efficiency has already begun dialogues with Michael back in summer to implement direct ADP for honoraria through Montecito Bank and Trust. For anyone who doesn't know what ADP is, that's automatic direct payment, meaning that the honorary amount would be automatically dispensed to an individual's bank account. That's the reform we're looking to make, so I think that will ease a lot of concerns about if we were to adopt this, the potential timeline of honorary distribution. But another thing that I wanted to throw out there, so one of my good friends was the former pro temp for UC Davis, and I'm also friends with their current president. They don't have honorary. They are on an hourly paid system. That being said, they have around $2 to $3 million more than us, and they also have a larger undergraduate student population, which means they're paying more fees. The implementation of any kind of hourly based pay system will only be able to be implemented at the next year, meaning 25 to 26. But that being said, I think the concept of honoraria needs to be looked at in its totality and either completely scrapped or heavily amended. I think ADP is a must. I think checks are disastrous, but I think the concept of honoraria within itself needs re-examining either to an hourly based system or something else, and that's going to take a long process, but that's my position on the subject of honoraria itself. So in my mind, even if we were to adopt this, it would only really be relevant for this year, because honestly, I'm 70 to 80% in the direction of replacing honoraria with something else entirely. I'm not sure if it would be hourly because Davis has many differences from us, but I think the current honoraria system as it is, number one, doesn't pay enough, number two, is inefficient, and number three, just doesn't work. So those are the points that I have in regard to this legislation. And the last point I would make is that if we are all in agreement that the entire system of honoraria needs to be re-examined and reevaluated, I would also pose the question to all of you, and again, this is a question. If we're planning on having a completely different system that is different than honoraria next year, is it worth it to pass a bill that would only apply for this year that BCUs aren't happy about in the current one? That's the question that we all have to decide, assuming we're under the assumption that we want to fundamentally rework the concept of honoraria, which myself and many other senators do, but I don't know if everyone else shares that sentiment. So I wanted to put that out on the floor for all of you.
Senator Amin?
Okay, so listening to what the BCUs had to say out loud, I think was really helpful, and I think it's our job to listen to our BCUs. I like what the bill wants to do. I think incentivizing high performance is really important, but I will agree with the BCUs that this might not be the way to do that. Especially if they think it's a bad idea, we have to heed their warnings. Like, they know better than us what's gonna work well within other BCUs. I also think I used to work at Aritzia, and at Aritzia, everyone kind of makes, like, you have to fight for your pay. Like, that's how it works. And so that created a really toxic environment. And so I get where they're saying, and I think when you work somewhere else where everything is shared, like Viore, for example, the working environment is a lot better. So I understand what they're saying. I realize that was weird, but like that's just how my brain works. The way that the bill addresses inflation, I think, is really important. But again, the specifics might not be exactly the way that we do that. So.
Yeah, no, I wanted to ask everyone to please speak louder.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. But yeah, overall, I think I like what it's trying to do. I think we just need to do it better. Like, it's silver right now, we need to make it gold.
All right, thank you. Senator Brennerson?
When I first heard about the bill, I was kind of excited for it. It sounded interesting. But then hearing from the BCUs and hearing their negative opinions, the biases that could be involved. And honestly, if there was like just one BCU that was like, this is a great idea, I'll sign on to this, and maybe it was like a co-sponsor to this bill, I would be like so much more interested in looking into it. But that's just like not the case. And I understand, like, they haven't gotten back in June, and I'm sorry, that's a bummer, but we need to hear from them. And another interesting point was, if we give them this money, what are they supposed to do with it? And, do they just reward themselves? Do they like
improve their projects, but how do they do that? Because it's almost like we give them a burden then, because we give them this funding and then we have to figure out what to do.
Just to clarify, the money would just be towards wages, it would not be towards the BCU.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, Senator Iden?
Just to confirm, because this is technically a new bill, correct? For the authors, yes?
Yes.
Since there's change, okay, so this is gonna need to be tabled anyway. Okay, I just want to bring this up again.
No, this is an old business.
There's been changes made, so it should be a new business.
Oh, okay.
My question is again, if there's a way to, I guess like you could do a directional resolution, like, hey, you guys need to talk about this, but like, there's no really way for them to follow up on that if they're not already responding. Would the authors already brought up potentially tabling this once more to liaison. I would ask the authors, because I think the other bits of the legislation are fine. And I don't think that's like the contentious bit. The contentious bit is the award. If we could table it to liaison, maybe make a change in making the outstanding VCU award its own piece of legislation, so we can pass the other bits, that would be great. I yield.
Senator Siddiqui?
Just for absolute clarity, I wanted to send the invitation to Attorney General Carlson. This is version 2 of the bill. Should it be placed under new business or old business? It was legislation that was an old business last time. It was revamped and it now has a new title and new content within the legislation. However, there are many similarities to the original.
I feel like that's just new business, period.
That's kind of a parliamentarian question, but I think if I was running it, I would leave old bills that were on previous agendas and old business, but with clear amendments, like amendments, saying like with amendments. I would say that on there. But again, if you are trying to pass a bill that has new changes to it, remember that you should keep in mind those rules about like what you can pass or not pass.
And also, just to clarify, if we open up a bylaws change and we amend it, then it automatically has to be tabled. If we amend the bill within a meeting, it has to be tabled, because that was the assumption I was under in the last meeting when I posed the question to you.
Yes.
Okay, wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
Do we have any further discussion points? Senator Clinton?
I just want to say I really like Senator Iden's idea of changing it to two separate pieces of legislation, because I just the thing I was thinking about. A lot of the BCUs reported that they didn't like the idea that they would award one when each one has different goals, but also from the BCU perspective, there's a lot of turnover and sometimes people don't know what they're doing. And like that learning curve can also kind of impact who wins this award. I know for the boards that I've been a part of, it's for transfer students, its turnover is in a year. So it's an entirely new board every year. So I know there's definitely a learning curve of like learning how to put on events, the timeline of getting your money, all that kind of stuff. So that's my other little like qualm, I guess. It just, there is a case by case basis of what each board knows how to be successful.
Thank you. Senator Iden?
Chair, can I speak freely with Senator Siddiqui?
All right, before you do that, I would like to recognize Parliamentarian Jha.
Chair, do you mind I speak as student sponsor?
Yes.
So, look, I tried my best, and there is a thing called voluntary response bias. It's a real thing, it's instant. If I want, I can have GGC write 10 glory review about it tonight, but it doesn't change anything. The bill, it's with good intention. The bill has practical standards. The president nominates. The president will even have to bring out a much detailed standard. There will be more oversight than everything else within the association. That's the least subjective thing. And to that end, I do believe that the bill should be reviewed on its merits. And I'm sorry, guys, I just had a meeting yesterday or Monday, and it's been very tiring. If you want to tear the bill apart, do something about it. It's within your rights. But I'll just ask the chair to accept my resignation from the honorary committee. Good luck. Yet, on up no question.
Senator Iden?
Can I speak freely with some of you?
Yes.
Okay, so would you, okay, we've already talked about the bias of regarding feedback from BTS. Could we go ahead and how do you feel about striking the outstanding VC reward and having this on the agenda for next week? Very type of legislation.
I believe that the course of action was to table into the liaison committee and hold a meeting with the orgs that had problems with it and see if any, see if we can come to an understanding with them when it comes to the outstanding VC award. If we cannot do that, then I would say it would be appropriate within the liaison committee meeting to just take those clauses out besides the office hours requirement, then amend it there, and then we bring it back next week and pass it. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, I just also want to reiterate what the parliamentarian has stated about like the response bias. It's like this, it's the VCs that responded, yes, they are equally important, but we are still going with only what they have stated, not the rest of the VCs. And so we get that. I would just like to reiterate that. But with that, would you be okay with making a motion tabling to liaison so we can pass this? Of course. Okay. All right. I motion to table a bill to reform honorary and ASU liaison committee.
All right, a motion has been made to table a bill to reform honoraria committee, holy shit, sorry. A motion has been made to table a bill to reform honoraria at ASUCSB to liaison committee. Do we have a second? Senator Havas? Seconded by Senator Havas. We are now in discussion. Yes, proxy Cloud. The question has been called. Do you have any objections? All right, seeing none, motion passes to table a bill to reform honoraria in ASUCSB to liaison committee. All right. It seems that our video is off.
Oh, that's me. Ugh.
Holly, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Senator Iden, would you like to revisit your bill?
Yes, I'm ready now, actually.
Okay, period.
Period.
All right,
That was painful.
now moving into a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions.
All right. No, I'm ready. Made my changes. Okay, Chair, are you able to copy the motion that I left in the comments and put on the agenda?
I see no suggestions to the agenda.
No,
Did you make comments on the bill?
yeah, bill to establish clear guidelines for AS.
Okay, cool. All right, technically, we have to open the bill,
Yeah, but
so I suggest you make a motion to open the bill before we visit any of the amendments.
sounds good. Okay, I motion to open a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions.
A motion has been made to open a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions. Do we have a second? Senator Lankarani,
Second.
seconded by Senator Lankarani. We're now in discussion. Senator Wahidullah,
Other question?
call question has been made. Do you have any objections? Do you have any objections to consent? Hearing none, motion passes to open a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions.
Okay.
Yes, Senator Iden?
Are you able, so would you like me, so just to clarify again, you'd like to, you can paste the motion onto the agenda and I can just say motion to pass, because I don't want to list all of it, motion to pass that motion, or, okay.
Give me a second.
It's the one below it, actually. It's, if you scroll down a little bit longer, that's the one below is the one that includes the whole.
Okay.
Thank you. It's really big.
All right, Senator Iden?
Motion to amend the bill in the following ways as listed on the agenda. Is that the best way to say it? Yeah. Oh, motion to make the following changes in a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions as listed on the agenda.
Yes, Senator Siddiqui?
Second.
There has been a second there's been a second of the motion to amend the bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions. There, huh? As stated on the agenda. All right. There's been a second to the motion to amend a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisitions as stated on the agenda. We are now in discussion. Senator Kadah.
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do you have any objections? All right, seeing no objections, motion passes. To amend a bill to establish clear guidelines for AS requisition submissions as stated on the agenda. Senator Iden?
Two questions. One, I have access to the document. Can I make all the changes that we just passed? If that's okay. Okay. Second, actually, I need to make these changes before we close it.
Yes. Technically, we cannot pass it today.
No, I know.
Okay.
If the sorry.
Yes, Senator Iden?
If the motion already passed and we close it while I make the changes, do we have to make the changes like legally in the bill before we close it?
Just,
Because if this was already approved.
should I just? Sorry, I'm thinking. No. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that, you wanna add that right now?
All the changes?
Yeah.
Yes, I actually only have suggesting.
Mm.
Can I just, sorry,
Yes, Senator
can I
Iden?
motion to, close the bill and allow Senator Iden to make these changes following the bill's closure?
Yes.
All right, I motion.
Senator Iden?
I motion to close the bill and allow Senator Iden to make the above approved changes to the bill following its closure.
All right, a motion has been made to close the bill and allow Senator Iden ample time to add the amendments as stated on the agenda. Is there a second? Senator Wang?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Wang. We're now in discussion. Senator Siddiqui?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
None.
Seeing none, motion passes. Beautiful. We are now moving into,
You can editing access.
yes.
Thank you.
All right, we are now moving into new business. AMPLE. Senator Iden?
Motion to add on a resolution directing the Associate Director for Finance and Budget to employ the following requisition policy, I believe that's what it says. Oh, sorry, let me redo that because I didn't have it in front of me. Motion to add a resolution directing the Associate Director of Finance regarding AS requisition submissions onto new business.
Can you please send me that piece of legislation?
I emailed it, associates one.
This one? Oh, period. All right, a motion has been made to add a resolution to direct the Associate Director of Finance regarding AS requisition submissions. Do we have a second? Senator Siddiqui?
Second.
All right, we are in discussion. Senator Siddiqui?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do you have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes to add a resolution to direct the Associate Director of Finance regarding AS requisition submissions to new business.
I've got it.
All right. Would the authors of the resolution like to speak on the piece of legislation? Yes, Senator Iden?
Okay, so the reason I'm motioning this on the agenda is the reason me and Armin finally came to agreement with the last bill that we just did that giant motion on with all the changes that were needed so we can pass it next week. It's basically the same thing, but it's just directing Michael to employ the policies that are listed in the bill, but we couldn't pass the bill with like the changes and like it's necessary to have these changes in place. That's all. It's just gonna happen, basically do the policies now while we wait to pass.
All right, thank you. Would anyone like to? Does the other author want to speak on it? Senator Singh?
Yeah, no, great resolution. Thank you, Senator Iden, for writing it. Appreciate that. And yeah, Senator Iden and I, we had some long discussions about the bill that we just made some changes to. Super excited to see this being passed today. Thank you.
All right. Senator Siddiqui?
Motion to pass a resolution to direct the Associate Director of Finance regarding AS requisition submissions.
All right, motion has been made to pass a resolution to direct the Associate Director of Finance regarding AS requisitions submissions. Do we have a second? Senator Lankarani?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Lankarani. We are now in discussion. Senator Clarell? The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Okay.
Do you have any objections to that? Seeing none, motion passes to pass a resolution to direct the Associate Director of Finance regarding Jesus fucking Christ. AS requisition submissions. Thank you. We're now moving out of that. We're now moving out of new business and moving into, committee reports. Would any committees like to give a report? Senator Waidula?
I can give like a small one report. We did go over our first signature today quickly.
You asked me to put it on the agenda.
Yeah, I know, I was just saying, whether or not we wanted us to go first, we want that.
That's on group projects and template.
BETF is not going, yes, AG Carlson.
While we're waiting, I was reading on the agenda, when we are directing like staff to do stuff, I would advise that we direct the executive director to subsequently direct staff. And the position of the executive director exists for that reason. It's literally to help streamline those things, because you have someone on one side of like business and one side on this side, administrative versus kind of student things. And so when you have someone who's literally there to kind of supervise and see that go into effect, Dr. Marquez actually reads all the legislation you guys write. The other staff don't. So that's just kind of like an idea that I would strongly recommend.
Thank you, AG Carlson. Senator Siddiqui?
Quick little comment to add on to AG Carlson. When I wrote directional resolutions in the past, what I did was I directed both Marcella and the relevant staff member who I was trying to direct. I think that's probably the best way to do it. I still think it is useful to specifically direct the direct staff member who wants to take the action, just for legal reasons and for having the paperwork. But yes, our executive director reads over everything we do, every Senate meeting and everything else. That is her job and she is great at it. So yes, also include her in those resolutions, but I don't think it's a problem to direct staff. I think including Marcella helps, but I would always say that you're welcome to directly direct staff.
All right, we're still in committee reports. Senator Waidula, would you like to give a report?
Yes, I can.
All right, please specify which committee you're giving a report for.
I'm a part of one of the co-chairs of the Jewish Muslim Student Alliance Committee. Many others also online that committee as well. So I can go also up on the podium with like stuff as well as something to if she's
Yeah, I can.
I just ask you both to please make sure to speak up and enunciate so the owl can pick up on anything you're saying.
Okay, sounds good. Bring out more following agenda, so just to go over. Hello, everyone, again, it's a pleasure to talk to you guys a little bit. Just give us some quick overview about some of the current projects we've been working on over the past couple of weeks. So far, we just had our first meeting, our agenda today, recently with our committee and everything, and we have been working a lot diligently over the past couple of weeks beforehand on a lot of projects, and I'm really optimistic, and also just before even talking, really grateful just to be working with a lot of my friends and a lot of supportive people who are really encouraged about working on projects with me, and so really I am passionate about. Of course, for our agenda, we're discussing about a lot of upcoming projects for overall the year. Most of you all know we have two projects that we have been really encouraged about, and I've been really excited about even before this committee. This is the reflection room, Halal culture forums, holidays, and a lot of those are like the main objectives we want to get off the bat this year. And I feel like one of the most pivotal projects that I feel like is the most like crucial these days is the reflection room proposal. So I mean, we've been working on that like the past 6 weeks before, and I have created a bit of an outline and stuff of the already decided like before a couple weeks ago. I went to a lot of interviewing of all the SRB rooms, and I'm interested in speaking like one of those rooms probably if I didn't have a spot. So far the plans and everything is going pretty well. We're just working overall to the committee, just finalizing things and presenting it soon around in maybe November and stuff to the operations board. And honestly, I feel pretty optimistic. Again, I'm going into this with as much like care diligently as possible, because I know all these projects have been presented before in AS, and which is why I want to make sure to learn from past like mistakes and everything to make it like as we don't do previous mistakes as before. Like I feel like one of the crucial areas is also just the funding and like where it comes from, like where external we're allocating funds. So that's something I'm going over today, especially with the committee and everything. And so far, I'm just happy to work overall with that. So far, that's like our main project, is the reflection room. Other than that, we've also just had discussing about other programs like the Hawaii Social Strategy. I'm not allowed to give like explicit details yet right now at the moment, but that's also one of our main projects. As well as like the holiday stuff that I know Senator Corsani is like really passionate about that as well. If we do also looking at that together. And I basically created a pretty good agenda. Those are three main projects. But we have other ideas too, like just like university calendar adjustments, fundraising, and event planning for the year. Overall, just to give like advocacy and awareness for both communities, just to like feel appreciated more at campus, like for the holidays and like the forums and diversity initiatives. Other things are came with that, like we'll just like other like DC probably like MSA and also just like that lines of the different thing. I don't know I'm gonna get to do this experience, but yeah. So like hopefully just I'm happy and excited to work with you guys, and yeah, so that's a bit of this makes up a working out. But overall, I'm excited that we got my touch here lately, and you know, Chris, you can talk about some of you're doing.
Yes, okay, so I'm very excited to have this committee. I think it's a really great opportunity that we have to work on the projects together, and I think Senator Langfield has been doing an amazing job regarding the reflection space. So yeah, I just want to echo what she was saying about how I think the reflection room is probably going to be like the most substantial project that we're going to start working on right now. We're going to start with the reflection room. Also, I was speaking to Senator Siddiqui during our meeting today, and he mentioned the funding that was given to us by the UC for specifically tackling Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. And it's basically a lot of money tied up into different departments of university. So we will be, we will all be meeting with the specific administration responsible for each of the different departments. So for example, student affairs, academic affairs, etc. They all have different amounts of money allocated to them from the UC specifically to tackle Islamophobia and anti-Semitism. And Senator Siddiqui's idea, which I agree with as well, is that this committee should be tackling that money and deciding how it should be spent. So that's also another kind of like project or like something that we're going to take on in this committee. I'm just very excited because I think there's a lot that we're all passionate about. And as for the holidays, I'm going to be speaking with the election board chair. I know he came to our first Senate meeting to kind of talk about some legal code changes and just some like tangible changes we can make regarding university holidays and how they overlap, or like religious holidays and how they overlap with elections. So that's something that we're gonna be working on. We will have more to report later on, but yeah, we did have our first meeting today. And if anyone has any questions or anything that they want to add.
I forgot that I was in the beginning. And just one thing I'm really optimistic about, also just for our committee and stuff, just like let it all just for reflection coming off of the bat. I feel like just let alone the people in our committee, I feel like can really help us more because we're like I feel like the marginal community that are meeting is basically never a reflection from, which I'm really glad about, that we can always work together at this. Because I feel like looking at the past previous experience of other people, other senators working on this project, I feel like they were as like affected or like they were as worried about it. I'm like seeing a lot of my Muslim friends, a lot of people that Jewish friends who probably need this and stuff. So I'm really they're just excited about a lot of people working on projects that like are also passionate about it as I am. And as for like just in general, like communicating with you guys of our meetings, it's like also established like probably around like a bi-monthly to bi-weekly status recording at this moment, just to keep it more consistent, like more up to date stuff. So we can get stuff to that as soon as possible and just reporting structure to track key milestones and stuff. But I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, our committee has some really great goals that we are planning on achieving. So we are very excited to work on these projects that we have laid out. I'm like proud of us that we have actual tangible things that we can make happen during this year that we have the committee. So yeah, thank you. If anyone has any questions.
Do we have any questions, comments, concerns? Oh, Senator Buller?
I'm excited to see all the work that you guys are gonna accomplish this year. If you need any help from me or Senate leadership, give us a call or a text or an email, but great work. I saw this on the agenda last week when I was at home and I was like, oh my goodness, like this is so cool. And I think you guys are the greatest picks for co-chairs. So like, I'm super excited for the work that you guys are gonna be listening.
For you.
Thank you.
Senator Siddiqui?
Yeah, quick informal question. First of all, thanks so much for starting this committee and doing the work. I know you guys are both sophomores, so it's even more encouraging to see. I'd like to see a younger member start stuff, so you guys will be here for longer. So thank you for that. I guess my super informal question is, are we meeting bi-weekly or just like bi-weekly?
I think bi-weekly is all my better to keep in mind. Yeah. And also we look, need to find a different time because I have work during.
I'll make sure to schedule another one.
Okay.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Even for me too, is a bit difficult.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. Thank you everyone on the committee. I'm super stoked.
All right, now moving out of committee reports and going into minutes and allocations. Senator Siddiqui?
Motion to bundle and approve all minutes and applications.
A motion has been made to approve all minutes and allocations. Is there a second? Senator Bernarson? Seconded by Senator Bernarson. We are now in discussion. Proxy Clara? The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes to bundle and approve all minutes and allocations. Now moving into appointments. Yeah, now moving into appointments. Yes, Senator Henderson.
Motion to bundle and approve all appointments.
There's been a motion to bundle and approve all appointments. Do we have a second, Senator Martinez?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Martinez. We are now discussion. Senator Lankarani?
Call the question.
Call the question has been made. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes to bundle and approve all appointments. And now we will be moving into acceptance of the agenda. Yes, Senator Lankarani?
Motion to, bundle accept the agenda. All right.
The
Motion to
language
accept.
would be the
Okay.
motion to accept. the
Motion to
agenda.
accept the agenda, yeah.
All right, there has been a motion to accept the agenda by Senator Lankarani. Do we have a second? Seconded, Proxy Clara? Seconded by Proxy Clara. We are now in discussion. Senator Iden?
I think we still need to do the resignation of Alex. I don't think we did that yet.
Should we do?
Was that not done last week?
No,
No.
Would you like to rescind
Oh,
your
yeah, I'd like to
motion?
rescind that motion.
just to get it done.
All right, Senator Lankarani would like to rescind their motion to accept the agenda. Senator Siddiqui?
Motion to add the resignation of Senator Arundela under Senate, under the appointment section of the agenda.
All right, a motion has been made to add the resignation of Senator Arambula in appointments. Is there a second? Senator Kadal?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Kadal. We are now in discussion. Senator Wang?
One question.
Call question has been made. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes to add the resignation of Senator Alexander Arambula onto appointments. Yeah. Senator Siddiqui?
Motion to bundle and approve all appointments.
Motion to bundle and approve all appointments has been made by Senator Siddiqui. Is there a second?
Motion to,
Yes, Parliamentarian Shaw?
uh,
Technically, all of them were already approved,
yeah,
so we
maybe
just have to approve.
to say that, maybe wants to say bundle and approve our appointments and resignations.
Okay,
Thank you. I would like to amend my motion to bundle and approve all appointments and resignations.
all right, a motion has been made to approve all appointments and resignations. Is there a second, Senator Lala? Seconded by Senator Lala. We are now in discussion. Senator Kadal?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections?
Consent.
Seeing none, motion passes to accept all appointments and resignations. All right, we are now moving back into acceptance of the agenda. Senator Lankarani?
Motion to accept the agenda.
A motion has been made to accept the agenda by Senator Lankarani. Do we have a second, Senator Kadal?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Kadal. We are now in discussion. Senator Lang? The question has been called. Do we have any objections? Seeing none, motion passes to accept the agenda. Thank you. We are now in discussion items. Senator Butler?
Before I get into what I'm gonna say. Dan, can you add that motion to, the acceptance of agenda, please?
Yes.
So. In my peer view, I believe we're about to enter a closed discussion.
You have to motion.
I know. But before this motion is made, I just want it to be on record that this is a vote to enter a closed session. You have the right to not participate in a closed session. And I just want to emphasize that this is a choice and we are not holding anybody at hostage or without will of leaving. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
All right, thank you, Senator Butler. Would you like to
Would you,
motion?
yeah, would you like to call?
Senator Butler?
Motion to, motion to enter closed session to discuss, motion to enter closed session to discuss the boycott of the 10-2 Senate meeting, inviting all senators and proxies, the internal vice president, the executive director, associated director for governmental affairs, associate director for engagement and leadership, Senate parliamentarian, and minute takers.
All right, there's been a motion to enter closed session to discuss the boycott of the 10-2 Senate meeting. Senator Kadal?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Kadal. We are now in discussion. Senator Lankarani?
Call the question.
The question has been called. Do we have any objections? All right, seeing none, motion passes to enter closed session. Holly, if you could please organize that.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna stop the live